watching. There will be a momentary loss of signal here while I move the webcam over to their software and then go from there. On the YouTube side of things, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a good weekend. I'm going to shut that YouTube stream down, and you can go watch Flame Trench on NSF's channel. But if you're on Twitch, sit here and enjoy the show. See you later on the YouTube side of things. I will see you guys all on Monday. On the Twitch stream, there's probably about another 10 hours of streaming. We got our 154 minutes of Le Mans in my Eric Johnson Racing Administration Racing League tonight. That should be pretty fun. That's going to happen on the other side of Flame Trench, and then maybe in between Flame Trench, and then depending on how Flame Trench goes, we can mess with the crane more. We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, I will see you guys in a little bit on the NSF side of things. Stand by for loss of signal, as expected.
live.
Five, 4, 3, 2.
We're days away from Polaris Dawn. Blue and RFA have had some hardware issues, and Starbase's second tower has been topped out. All that and more on this week's Flame Trench.
And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roger, planet.
Water towers fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal. Flight downside speed off. Bring in speed off. It's orange!
R45! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed. We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane would be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these.
What's up, nerds? Welcome to another week of the Flame Trench, NSF's informal weekly news show. If you want the formal news, you can watch Twist, which comes out earlier in the day on Fridays. But if you want to hear us gab about what's going on, sort of semi-unfiltered, this is the right place. You're in the Flame Trench, baby. I'm Jack Beyer for NSF, and as always, you don't have to look at just my face and listen to just my voice, mercifully. Also joined by our ever-competent cohort of co-hosts, starting off with EJ. What's up, EJ?
Hey, how you doing? What's going on, everybody?
Hi. How you doing this week, bud?
Are you waving? Good. How are
Waving to
you doing?
Hi.
Dude,
Hi, buddy.
I'm waving back. They had me host this last week, man. It was a train wreck.
It really was it a
Oh,
trench
quiet. You were
wreck?
great.
I like it when Jack hosts better.
Hosting, it's well, okay. We could get way into the weeds on that, but let's keep the train rolling here. The trench flowing. I don't know.
Chat.
The voice you heard was Sawyer. Sawyer, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing all right. Still stuck flat in bed. So instead, you get a picture of me floating in zero gravity, and there is actually a tie-in to this. So hang tight. Yeah, that is me floating indeed. And EJ, you were a great host last week. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't neg yourself.
Mm.
Everyone loves you. We all love you.
Oh God, the book is back.
What is it? What are you reading this week, bud?
Today, I'm reading about startup sequences and where your fire should not be. It's kind of topical to this week's discussion.
Did something have like a big fire during a startup sequence?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch Flame Trench and find out.
Or you already watched Twist and you already know. Or you're following us on the socials and also already know. But we will talk about RFA here in a little bit.
I mean, I am turbo pumped up to talk about that, but we have other topics too.
I already did this in the pre-show, but I'm doing it again. We're gonna have to come up with a punishment for you, Sawyer. Cool. Well, let's jump right into it. Oh, we also have Ryan. Ryan, what's up, buddy?
Not much. You, Jack? I said hi everyone.
Hi.
I'm just kind of here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have you on to jump in when you want, and also to talk about Starship. And we have Jay and Kevin Michael Reed operating the stream. Oh, come on. Okay, I just read the back channel. Thanks for that.
I'm just here to talk about Ship 26, Jack. Just so you know, I'm not operating. Jay is operating today.
Okay, so you're literally just here to talk about Ship 26.
I'm just here to bother you.
But I love you. You're my friend. Like
I know.
We have a bond.
I love you too, Jack.
Jay,
All right.
if you're really our friend, you will not play any Ship 26 music.
I mean, I kind of like the. I hate to say it. I don't like Ship 26, but the Ship 26 theme kind of slaps. It's like, yeah, it's like makes you feel good. It's like makes you feel happy.
No, slap testing is over, okay?
I kind of want them to launch Ship 26 just so that the intro for that stream can just be that song. We finally get a new intro song, and it's the Ship 26 theme.
New intro, huh?
Sawyer, for the love of God. Buddy, you said you were ready to go this week, but come on, don't throw me under the bus like that.
Anyway, we got some cool stuff to talk about.
Yeah, some really cool stuff, including we're like days away at this point from Polaris Dawn, which is basically modern Gemini, which is the coolest dang thing. Like, we talk about the historical programs, we talk about Gemini, we talk about Mercury, we talk about Apollo. In 20-something years, we'll be talking about Polaris the same exact way. It's the coolest dang thing. I cannot emphasize that enough. I'm so happy Jared is doing this. And of course, it's all for a good cause, not just for St. Jude, but also for the advancement of human knowledge. Like, what more do you want? Give us a rundown, Sawyer. Where are we at?
Yeah, like you were talking about for the betterment, there are 36 different experiments that will be performed during the course of the 5-day mission. Where we are at currently is that the crew of 4 has arrived at the Kennedy Space Center, entering their quarantine period there, as we get ready for launch currently scheduled for early morning on the 27th. For those who don't know, as you were kind of alluding to there, Polaris Dawn, part of the Polaris program, the first of 3 planned flights, is commanded by Jared Isaacman, the same person who commanded and basically funded the Inspiration 4 mission back in 2021. He's joined by Scott Poteet as pilot, mission specialist Sarah Gillis, and mission specialist / medical officer Anna Menon. So it is a really packed crew, and it is going to be quite the mission. We finally got a breakdown at a recent press event, which our own Max Evans even got to ask a question during. And basically, here's the plan for the mission. Day 1, they launch. That's obviously the good plan.
They
Hopefully.
launch on day 1?
I know, it's a shocker, right? And I know we were asking earlier, why are they launching at 3 a.m. when they can launch whenever or whatnot? Apparently, it's due to to limit the risk of micrometeoroid and other orbital object debris hitting, because they're going into a crazy low perigee and a crazy high apogee. So it'll be 190 kilometers by, at its highest point, 1,400 kilometers. The farthest humans have been from the Earth since Apollo 17 in 1972.
It'll also be the highest Earth orbit of any crewed mission, right? Is that correct?
Yes, Gemini 11 hit 1,369 kilometers. This is 1,400. Will also mark the farthest that any woman has ever gone away from the planet as well.
Awesome.
So there's that. There's also, of course, the studying of radiation being that high up. They're only doing 10 hours there. They don't want to risk it. Lower themselves back down to about 700 kilometers, and then perform the first ever commercial spacewalk in history. Minor detail, which
Yeah.
Dragon doesn't have an airlock, so they're just, like you said, like Gemini, just going to depress the entire spacecraft. But only 2 of them, Jared and Sarah, will actually be exiting the spacecraft and going outside and doing some maneuvering tests, 15-20 minutes each at a time.
Right.
And
Let's pause right there and take a moment and talk about the spacewalk a little bit.
yeah.
You know me. Everybody watching the stream probably knows me. I'm a bit of a stickler for names.
Uh-huh.
How do you feel about calling this a spacewalk versus an EVA? What is, like, we need like a bumper. Like, Sawyer's thoughts. What do you think, Sawyer? EVA?
I use them interchangeably.
I think that's completely fair. This is actually an instance where I don't have an annoyingly firmly set opinion. I know, shocking, right? But
I mean, it's safe to say that every spacewalk is an EVA, because EVA, extravehicular activity.
yes.
If you're doing it outside the vehicle, it's extravehicular. So regardless, that's a spacewalk, or at least is outside. As for the spacewalking term, I mean, they will testing maneuvering out there. It's like just floating, come right back. They're maneuvering experiments and handles and things that they want to test. So yeah, I think that counts.
Yeah, I would agree. And ultimately, it doesn't matter. I want to be clear. It really doesn't matter. It's the utmost of splitting hairs. But I do think it's interesting the sort of EVA that they're doing and the Skywalker platform that they've installed on Dragon Resilience, which is sort of a mobility aid, is what they're calling it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, if you guys don't know, for the Skywalker fixture, or mobility aid, or whatever you want to call it, just imagine where the cupola was for Inspiration 4, and instead, it just opens to the empty void of space, and there's like, it almost looks like a one of those metal step ladders you see at Home Depot or something. Obviously for space. Yeah, so they can like walk out and have something to hold on to, but still be out of the vehicle, which is really cool. So I'm
Jack, I have a question. Can you really walk in space?
Yes, absolutely.
Can you?
Yeah, you can walk on the moon. Like moonwalking is a thing also on Earth.
I mean, Michael Jackson can moonwalk.
Yes.
Shamona.
I mean,
I couldn't resist. BJ, what have you done to me?
Nothing. Don't worry about it. It's good.
but I mean, it is. I guess it's technically walking. I can attest to it. You can walk with your hands.
I mean, you can wiggle your legs in space as if to walk. You could hold on to a fixture on the outside of a vehicle and walk along the vehicle. Yes, you can walk in space. I think the answer is a safe yes. But yeah, the EVA is super cool. I don't know, EJ. I was asking Sawyer, do you make any distinction between EVA and spacewalk?
No. They mean the same thing. Xerox machine, copy machine, same thing.
Proprietary EPIMs, Kleenex, and I don't know, I guess like facial tissue, something like that. Yeah, there's, Band-Aid,
Facial tissue.
Band-Aid, and adhesive medical strip. It's a proprietary EPIM. Anyway, Ryan says, "What's a Xerox machine?"
Yes, it's a photocopier. Yes.
Ryan, can you not be like 5? Anyway, Sawyer, telling us about Polaris Dawn. There's a lot of cool stuff going on here.
Oh yeah. So the plan is to do that spacewalk. Total combined time from start to finish is expected to be 2 hours. The other interesting thing they're doing is a communications test, because this particular spacecraft has been equipped laser link attachment in the trunk, and essentially a Wi-Fi router inside of the spacecraft so that they can connect to the Starlink network as a test of a communications platform, both in terms of reducing latency as well as reducing the load on, say, the TDRS network, which is the tracking data relay satellite network that NASA uses in low to mid-Earth orbit. So that is been teased with some very special announcement to the world that will be made during that fourth flight day. That is also when they'll keep doing those experiments, some of them having to deal with space sickness, and one of them in particular having to deal with the eye and the pressure that gets created that cause vision problems for astronauts.
Yeah, can we bring up that tweet? That tweet is amazing. Continue, Sawyer. I'm sorry.
That's what I was gonna say, is they will be wearing smart contact lenses, which I don't even know how that's a thing, but apparently they will be wearing these contact lenses that look crazy and that will help measure their ocular pressure throughout, in addition to other biological tests that they'll be doing, especially once they reach the thicker atmosphere, or the thicker radiation portions. And
Yeah.
there it is. You scroll down just a little bit more, be ready to be freaked out.
This is such a cool picture, and it's such a cool thing to be doing. I mean, like we talked about at the top of the segment, this is modern, modern Gemini. And when people are like, "Oh, why don't we spend all this money going to space? It's just billionaires want to escape Earth," and it's like things like that. It's just no. Like there's so much we still don't know. Not only about our place in this solar system and universe, but also about spaceflight's effects on the human body. And it just makes sense that there's a whole bunch of research to be done, especially in this day and age with all the modern technology that we have, like, I don't know, smart contact lenses, which I don't know about you guys, I don't even know that was a thing.
No idea.
Like, I assumed that was still sci-fi for a while. So
Now you know. And knowing is half the battle.
we need to get the more you know thing, like to fly across the screen, but instead of a star, it's a shuttle. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, that'd be great. But yeah, this is really, really cool. There's so much work to be done if we want to make humans a spacefaring society. And a lot of that work centers around how do we mitigate the effect of spaceflight on our physiology. And it's just so cool. It's so cool. I feel like I don't want to nag NASA or anything. NASA good. But this Polaris mission and the sorts of things that they're going to do on the subsequent Polaris missions, this is the sort of thing that I feel like previously would have been NASA's bread and butter. this sort of research role versus like buying a multi-billion-dollar single-use rocket to launch a crew into low Earth orbit. I'm sorry.
Never
I'm
do
sorry.
that.
I'm sorry, EJ. I didn't mean to poke a bear. I mean, I did. But yeah, I mean, please. No, go. I'm all here for it.
I think, you know what, man? I disagree, but I agree, but I disagree. It's kind of hard to explain. I think NASA should be doing this with, the Orion capsule. Should be doing stuff like this for the Orion capsule with
100%.
its low Earth orbit access vehicle that should have been made. Yep. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, stick rocket. I mean, yeah, I'm really happy that commercials doing stuff like this. And I'm really happy that Jared Isaacman is willing to put forward, a good amount of change. He didn't say, Jeff House asked him in the Polaris Tom President, how much does this cost? He goes, yeah, I have no idea. Nope, not telling you nothing.
Oh yeah, his response was
what was it? It was like, nope.
it was good
You have
question.
to ask.
Next.
You can't afford it.
I think it was good question.
Yeah.
Next.
I love how like Jared is just so comfortable in his own skin and
Yeah, man.
unflappable. Like, I'm sorry, I'm fanboying a little bit, but how can you not?
That was
Cool.
not a chance.
No.
Not a chance.
I mean, yeah, I'm super happy that he's doing this. I'm super happy that we're pushing the boundaries like that. It's awesome for the commercial sector. I just can't help but think, this would be a great test for that Orion capsule. Be a great test.
Yeah, but they probably get some more heat shield too while they're at it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
that? No.
You were thinking what I was thinking. That might be helpful.
Might be a good thing when you're questioning the state of your heat shield after multiple flights. We have a poll in chat. Chat, we have a poll. Space contact lens. Option A, not for me. Option B, good science. Option C, they slap. Right now, good science is winning as it should.
Slap.
Yeah.
Pretty sure Chris just put the slap one in there for me, that is what I voted, to be honest. Chris knows me.
Yeah. But it's interesting because you talk about the heat shield. That's another thing too. They're testing the resilience of this craft in terms of how it can withstand all of the radiation, what effect it has. Because turns out spacecraft don't like lots of radiation, and also for a steeper re-entry path. So there's a lot of resilience that's needed for this. By the way, you know which capsule they're using?
It's not resilience, is it? It's resilience.
It's resilience.
That's why I made the face when you said it.
I thought.
Cool. Well, I mean, I'm so excited for this mission. I wish I could be there in Florida for it, but you know what? You can't win them all. And there'll be more Polaris missions, but
Two more.
this just so dang exciting. It actually feels like we're going to learn things. We're going to push boundaries. We're going to actually advance the sphere of human knowledge, which, I mean, what more can you ask for spaceflight? Oh, and also helping kids not have cancer. I mean, it's just win after win after win.
Jared W. Sickman.
Yeah, agreed.
But I really wish
Yeah,
I could have
stuff.
been there for this one. Obviously being flat in bed doesn't help, so I can't be there, but this mission is also quite special to me. Yes, it's also helping Sage Jude, which is absolutely fantastic. But I have a special connection to this mission. Jay, if you don't mind, please. The reason I chose the flex photo of me floating in zero gravity is because this was part of something called Astro Access, which is an organization that is chartering zero gravity flights and basically coming up with ways to prove that space is for everybody and any spacecraft can be made accessible. You'll notice. Oh, well, there's me floating in it. But if you can go back 1 second to that other picture, if you see in the bottom left, there's me. Yeah, I'm me. And then all the way on the right, you see the blue suit, which is my good friend and astronaut Katie Coleman. I don't know if you're able to zoom in that way, Jay, because you may notice the person that is directly behind Katie Coleman, and that is Sarah Gillis, aka the mission specialist on this flight. So I got to fly in zero gravity with Sarah. So I guess I met her before she was an astronaut, and now she's about to fly into space, and I am so excited for her and happy for her, and the fact that she's one of the two people that's actually going to be doing the EVA part, leaving the vehicle. I mean, this mission's very special to me for that.
That's really cool. That may perhaps be Sawyer. They say, what mission to space would you do and why? Literally any. Suborbital, orbital, 2-year Mars hop, I don't care. Sign me up. EJ, what mission to space would you do and why?
What are we talking about here? Like any mission?
It is a pretty broad question from Phil for a 2 curly L super chat, so give us a nice, short, broad answer.
Later Apollo missions, the one where they drove around on the rovers.
Oh, that's such a good answer.
Yeah.
Heck yes. Such a good answer. Sawyer, what would you do?
It's not even a judgment call, man.
Yeah, well, like you had that ready to go. I applaud your your determination there.
Oh, mine's Hubble repair mission on shuttle, hands down.
That would be sick.
Good call.
Also be
Good
sick.
You
call.
get to go that much higher up than the ISS. You've got
You get to
obviously
see the
historic,
Hubble.
yeah, and you're on a space shuttle.
Yep, can't go wrong. All good answers and good question. Christopher Teague gifting a red team membership. Chuck Winners gifting 10 red team memberships. Thank you, Chuck. We literally can't do this without the members. We just can't. It's not how YouTube works these days. So thank you everybody for gifting memberships, and thank you if you've becoming a member. Like, we spend time to thank you guys because we literally can't do this without you. Christopher with a store purchase. What the train thing? I still don't know what the train sound is, Kevin. What's the train sound?
It's train sound. What do you mean?
Yeah, I don't. Oh,
the hype train.
The hype train.
That's for wait. Isn't that on Twitch? And we're on YouTube right now.
Well, we're on both.
Yeah,
EJ's on
like,
Twitch, right? Right, EJ?
Yeah, I am. But yeah, it's like super chats. Like I don't know what that is.
Yeah, last week it was
I don't know
funny
what that
trying
is.
to get the terminology right.
I'm like, I don't know what that is, man.
Is it good? I think it's good. It says super, so it must be good.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, I think we will wrap support right there. We'll get back to it. We have a bunch more support coming in, but we want to keep answering your questions and keep the topics rolling here. James DeLoach is asking, are all 4 of the Polaris crew going to be wearing those smart contacts we talked about, or just like 2 of them? Do we know if they're all 4 going to be wearing them?
I would have to look that up really quick.
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's a good question.
Yeah, let me double check while you go into the question.
Yeah, while you do that, Joe is asking, do you have any comments on Tim Dodd's tour of Blue Origin with Jeff? Yeah. What a fantastic tour. Like, talk about the hype train. Oh my God. I mean, I feel like we got to, thank you, Kevin. We got to see all of the amazing things that we knew like existed inside that building. Yeah, what an amazing piece of work from Tim and crew, and from Jeff. Like, Jeff clearly knows his stuff, clearly very up to date on the program. Let me say this. I might make some fans and some not fans in chat. I'll say this in regards to the Tim Blue Origin tour. I watched that, and then I immediately after watched the most recent Elon Starbase tour that Tim did, because I was in New Zealand when that came out, and I did not have time to watch it then, or Signal or anything. At one point during the beginning of the Starbase tour, Tim asks Elon about V2 ship, and if any of the ships in the high bay are V2 ships. And Elon like stands there for like 10 seconds and doesn't say anything, and then they kind of, the conversation continues on. Like, so the vibe that I got was that Elon didn't know what ships were in the high bay, which is a little bit disappointing. That's a very different vibe than I got from the Jeff Blue Origin tour. That's just me. I'm just an observation.
I mean, to play devil's advocate there, I mean, there are a lot of starships in the pipe. You know what I mean? It's not like there's one starship and one booster and he doesn't know the name of it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of starships.
That's fair. That's completely fair.
Like, I'm just saying, man, I understand what you're getting at, but also...
It's like, okay, here's the thing. I know exactly what ships are where, generally. I don't always. I'll give you that. I don't always, because they move stuff around nonstop. That said, I'm just a photographer. I'm not running the company. You would think the person in charge of everything would sort of know the state of play at any given moment in time, especially right before they're about to do a tour of the place. Like, maybe have one of your, handlers or whatever come up to you and be like, all right, here's what's there. Tim's over here. Let's start talking. Like, just a lack of prepare. But also, I will say, in fairness, that was shot right before Starship Flight 4, and I definitely feel like Elon was nervous. Like, not super like, oh, geez, but you can tell if you've seen enough Elon interviews and things like that, or presentations by him. You can tell when he's nervous, and you can tell when he's relaxed. And then part 2 of the Elon Tim thing, when they're in Starbase talking about the post-flight stuff, Elon is like on point and obviously way more relaxed. And so I chalk a lot of that up probably to pre-launch jitters. But yeah,
there's a lot of hamster wheels turning up there in that guy's head, man.
It's like a farm of, the thing where it's like 1,000 monkeys on 1,000 typewriters. Yeah. It's that, but hamsters and wheels.
Yeah, like, I mean,
but yeah, a little bit off topic. But I wanted to answer that one to give Sawyer time. Sawyer, do we know about the contacts? Did we get an answer?
All of them.
Sweet. More science, more better, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see the results.
Sawyer,
Can I go, can
proving,
we go back to
you're
talk?
proving to be a very challenging pupil.
Oh. Should
Man.
I risk making another one?
I was gonna say I was gonna do Iris next. Oh, that's too good. We better stop. We're gonna give EJ a coronary. No, that didn't work. Moving on.
Next question.
Yeah. Chuck, in regards to Starliner, says rumor is they'll choose Dragon tomorrow. Have your opinions changed over time? We specifically did not put Starliner in the list of things on the show, but I mean, the thing is happening tomorrow, so we got a question about it.
Yep.
We can talk about it for a couple minutes. Nope, opinions haven't changed. We'll see what happens. EJ, go.
Is this Starliners? That's what we're doing now. All right.
It's just one question. It's just one question. Just have your opinions changed over time? Rumor is they're going to pick Dragon tomorrow. Although I do sort of wonder. I love Eric Berger, but he has had some L's over the years. I do wonder if this will shake out to be a Berger L or a Berger W.
I mean, I'm not trying to defend the guy, but yeah, I mean that happens in this industry sometimes, dude. Sometimes you take the L, sometimes you take the W. It happens. 100%. I don't know. With Starliner, like I said, what I've been basically saying this entire time is just wait till they're done with the fault tree. The fault tree is going to take time. However, the optics of this obviously can't be ignored here, right? Like they launched in June,
right?
But I'll be honest, NASA holding the presser on a weekend is not the best look, but we'll see what happens. I'm here for technical analysis when it comes to Starliner because I firmly believe, even with the thruster problems that they're having with the overheating, supposedly, right? Like now is the time to find these problems. So now is the time to do this. I mean, how say they brought them down, right? And everything was fine. And then you went to do an operational mission. And now, they went to do Starliner 1 and it happened there. Now you're really screwing with ISS logistics, right?
Right.
You're really messing it up now. This with this mission, there's leeway, right? They can, just move the manifest out with the next Dragon mission. So it's good to find these problems now, however severe they might be. I mean, clearly it's something that they need, that they're, I've said in the past, they're like 95% sure they'll be fine on Starliner.
Right.
But 95% sure doesn't cut it when you're on a test flight.
Right.
That ain't stirring the Kool-Aid, man. Yeah, exactly. You got to be 99% sure at the very least.
More of a high C guy.
I don't know. Yeah,
just like your GPA.
Kool-Aid,
got it,
man.
Sawyer, have your opinions changed over time on Starliner?
Oh, big time. I mean, if you go back to the early flame trenches when this all first happened, you can hear me going, oh, don't worry about it. This is a test flight. It happens. This is meant to be a test. And then going, they're not stranded. Don't worry. They'll come up with a solution. And then, all right, this is taking a little bit longer, but I still have faith in the capsule. They wouldn't send them back on it if they didn't, think it could do it. They wouldn't use it as a redundancy vehicle or as their emergency escape vehicle. And now I would not fly on it. I would be scared. I genuinely think that I mean, I'm glad they did this test flight.
Right.
It sucks for the astronauts that are stuck up there, even though that means they get more time in space. And obviously, it's not great publicity-wise for Boeing, but talk about running your spacecraft through the paces. Here's finding a major, major problem with your spacecraft. Even if you don't send crew home in it, which, is I think it's potentially going to happen. Then
I will say the nature of the nature of it being a Saturday news dump, like that's typically a PR move that you would do for
not great, Bob,
for unfavorable PR stuff, because by the time Monday rolls around, the news cycle has reset. Although I suspect that may not hold in this case if that is what does in fact occur. But if I was a betting man, I would be betting that, just based on the timing of the presser, that they're coming back on Dragon. But You don't have to listen to us blather on and speculate. You can just wait till tomorrow because we do, I believe, have a video coming out about Starliner, like ready to go as soon as the news drops and we're able to, plop in the appropriate bits of information as we get them. So
And we will have people in the question queue, so our star one fingers are ready.
good deal.
Yep.
Let's see. Anna is asking, will the extravehicular suit that SpaceX made for Polaris Dawn be used for manned Mars missions? I believe no, but this is like an evolutionary thing, just like everything SpaceX does. This is an evolution on their previous suit, and they'll continue to learn and evolve, and this will lead to the Mars suit, right, EJ?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what they said. This is a prototype for walking around on Mars and the moon by proxy, right? That was actually one of the questions that was asked in the press conference when the Polaris Dawn crew got to KSC, which was that was a pretty cool press conference. You guys should watch that. It's pretty awesome.
Solid.
Learned a lot of cool things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they said that this could be the first of at least 10 different iterations before we get to a moon or Mars one. And I mean, the modifications to this one are really cool. I mean, obviously, you've got the heads up display, which is pretty awesome, helmet cameras, they fixed all the joint mobility, the cool copper and indium tin oxide visors. And the best is some of the thermal insulation that they added is the same thermal insulation material that they use on the vehicle.
So cool. So cool.
Why use more TPS when less do trick?
James Atkinson asking, thinking of the medical isolation of Polaris Dawn, what is the worst medical emergency that has occurred in space? Huh.
The one we've never heard of.
Right. I'm sure they've happened, but nothing that has been dramatic enough that it's made the news. There's always one crew member of each mission that is designated as a medical officer for that very reason, trained in all of the medical needs. They have developed ways to do CPR and things in microgravity. So it's not like they're not prepared for it. It's just we haven't heard of them having to use any of it.
Berganator in our back channel is saying Luca's EVA, where they nearly drowned because of the leak in the thermal control system. Or was it a leak in the water pouch? Either way, it was
I believe it was the cooling system, and it started pooling up to the point where he almost drowned in space.
Yeah. That's terrifying. That is just utterly terrifying.
Yep. That's nightmare fuel.
And finally, Bob and Michelle Murray are asking, isn't this the first time a human Dragon capsule has had something in the trunk? I have no idea. Normally they fly crewed without anything in the trunk?
Yeah, as far as I can tell, that question is referring to the Starlink. They basically, I mean, I'm sure it's a little more complicated than this, but they basically hot rodded a Starlink satellite and put it in the trunk and then wired a router, like a regular Starlink router, and they into the crew cabin and they bolted it down. It is a actual Starlink router. And like, as far as I know, it seems like it's a hot rodded Starlink satellite. They're just like, put it in the back there.
Yeah,
the reason why is because
what did they call it?
The
like
optical communication.
Plug-in. It was
the plug-in laser.
Plug-in laser. So cool.
It's crazy. They're testing the optical communications. I can't recall anything. I mean, we always get a shot of the business end of Dragon when it's separating during all these crew flights. I mean, the only ones we haven't seen it is for, like if there's a private one or anything, right? At the end of the crew mission, at the end of launch, you hear the SpaceX, flight controller say, hey, thank you for riding Falcon 9, welcome to space. And you usually get a shot up the business end of the trunk. I haven't seen anything in there.
Yeah.
But who knows,
Cool. Good questions, y'all. Keep them coming as we move on to our next.
Wait, can I say one thing real quick?
Sure, absolutely.
I just want to point out how utterly insane it is that Falcon 9 is doing a MEO insertion 190 by 1200 with a drone ship landing. That was like Falcon Heavy territory 5 years ago, guys. And then before that, that was not a thing. You're not. That was before that. That was you're not getting your booster back territory. I just want to point that out. That's actually pretty crazy.
Yeah.
MEO insertion for Falcon 9, or medium Earth orbit transfer that's pretty cool with a crew capsule. I mean, the insertion is 1200 by 190, but that's pretty neat. And the drone ship landing, that's pretty cool. Yeah. Medium Earth orbit. Yeah.
It's really cool. And it just goes to show all the little tweaks and refinements that SpaceX has been able to make over the years to Falcon 9 to just continually improve its performance. Whether that's changing how they do the landing burn or who knows what else. But I'd be super curious to know internally like what the current designation of a Falcon 9 is. Like, is it Block 5.921? Like, we're so far beyond Block 5 at this point. It's crazy.
So just one point out real quick, because I did see someone ask, what we're talking about is the orbit. So the highest point of the orbit is, in that instance that EJ mentioned, it'll drop it off at 1,200 kilometers. When it goes all the way around making a full circle, the lowest point that it will be in its orbit, full ellipse, the lowest points that it will hit in its orbit is 190 kilometers. That's the apoapsis, periapsis, and again, or apogee, perigee. And that's what those numbers mean.
Yeah, it's a very, very elliptical orbit. So they go way high up around the Earth and then way back down. And that might play into a little bit into Sawyer, what you mentioned, where they're not just going to sit in the high radiation environment and get roasted. And also plays into the question we recently had a few minutes ago about the medical isolation. Like, hey, yes, you're going to be way out there, but also the lowest point of your orbit is not way out there. So if you need to come home in a hurry, you don't have to do like a whole bunch of burns and this and that. You can just, I imagine, come back relatively quick.
Some nerd stuff real quick.
I like nerd stuff. What's the nerd stuff?
The other thing to think here is that they're launching into a 51.6 degree inclined orbit. That's the same. So that's orbital inclination, guys. That's your orbit is tilted relative to the equator. The
equator is 0, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The point where you cross the equator on the ascending or descending node, the angle that it makes there is your tilt, the tilt of your axial plane relative to the Earth's equatorial plane, right? This is a 51.6 degree inclination. That's the same as the ISS. I wouldn't be surprised if they're popping off kind of with the ISS in the same argument of perigee and the same inclination, just in case. But you never know. It's interesting that they chose 51.6 on the dot, and that's the exact inclination of the ISS. I'd be curious to see if it's in what's called phasing, because you can launch into the same tilt, but if the ISS is somewhere over, if the ISS's plane doesn't line up with your launch azimuth, right? You're not. It doesn't matter. You're in a 51.6 degree inclined orbit but it's shifted, around the world, right? I'd be interested to see if they're in the same plane with the same what's called argument of perigee as the ISS. I just out of curiosity. I mean, they don't have a docking port, but
yeah, I was just gonna say they couldn't dock to it unless it also has to do with they like to call it MMOD, the micrometeoroid and orbital debris. If there's that 51.6 degree inclination because of the ISS is kept relatively clear at all costs of rogue spacecraft, active spacecraft, little pieces. They try and keep that clear of the space station. So maybe that's also part of it in that it's a clearer path. Like the ISS basically is the Hoover vacuum sucking it up in front of them and they're riding behind.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't shock me at all if it was for abort contingencies or something along those lines.
Let's be real. This is a dangerous mission.
It is.
Very, very ballsy. Hats off to those four.
I will be more nervous for Polaris Dawn than probably any mission since James Webb, and before that, DM2.
DM2 was pretty ballsy for what it was, and this is a significantly more complicated mission than that.
Yeah. So, and I have full confidence in the SpaceX teams. Like, I'm not actually worried that something is going, but I just am aware of the challenges and risks that are going to be undertaken by this crew. And man, props to them for doing
Yeah.
all that, raising money for childhood cancer abatement, and for advancing the sphere of human knowledge. I cannot stress that enough.
There's
I
a
can't be-
Burginator
I can't be the
in with
only one that's-
STS1 in the back channel.
Oh, God.
Sorry.
Oh, no, Burginator.
That was also a crazy mission too. But yeah,
Oh.
Jack, I'm with you on this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
dude.
but I wasn't alive for STS1. If I had been alive for STS1, even if I was like 4, I also would have been very nervous for it. I think we can all safely say STS1 is the most
The
gutsy
craziest.
space flight of all time. I mean,
Hey, dude.
maybe not as much as landing on the moon. I don't know. I feel like just launching on the shuttle, crewed for its first launch, when it's such a wacky vehicle like STS1, insanity.
The timings to get everything to work right with simultaneous SRB ignition, and just
And
that
the number of ways in which it almost went
really bad.
really
yeah.
bad. Yeah. Like the body flap from the overpressure. Okay, anyways, we mentioned shuttle, so Chris Bergen can be happy.
Shuttle.
I'm sorry, you
Shuttle
said over.
Sundays. Watch it.
You're talking overpressure. That's coming up in just a bit.
It is. Well, first, we have to do some support.
Oh yeah.
I'm not mad about that one. Christopher. Christopher says more prints 5 and 6. Love the work. Or to fund bacon. Love the work. Can't wait for IFT5 West Coast Best Coast. They got one of my prints. What a guy. I don't know if it's showing
What was
up.
that last part?
Which one did they get? Yeah, West Coast Best Coast. I'm sorry, EJ. Which state is the most populous state? Oh yeah, that's California. West Coast Best Coast.
Which state has the highest population density? New Jersey, East Coast, West Coast.
That's not. You're measuring on density. My
Yeah.
point is that the most people have voted that California is the best place to live. Therefore, West Coast, Best Coast. People are voting with their feet.
Hey, we had a president that, proposed the whole Apollo program. Where was he from?
Oh.
I believe this nation should commit itself, sending a man to the surface of the moon and returning him safely to the earth.
That's a really good JP. Why are you so good at impressions?
Because I spend a lot of time alone in a room talking to a wall. A lot of time to practice.
Can you do a good Truman Capote or Droopy Dog? Because they're basically the same thing.
Well, I don't know if I could do a good droopy dog.
All right. If we ever have you, this is terrible. I can't believe I'm about to say this. If we ever have you read a quote from Bill Nelson, I'm going to need you to read it in that voice.
Well, let me just stop you right there and tell you that the proof is in the pudding.
That's amazing.
That's actually pretty good.
That's ridiculously good.
Thank you.
I'm so here for it. Christopher, thank you for grabbing one of my prints. I'm not sure which one it is, but that means the world to me, or any of our photographers. When you get one of their prints, it's like there's no higher praise. There really isn't. So thank you so much. It's so appreciated. We hope you enjoy the art on your wall, and I certainly do. JS Web Productions, thanks for gifting a Red Team membership. Bideford, hi Bideford, you're the best.
Is it margarita time?
Memberships. Is it? I want a
I
margarita.
don't know. Bideford's the one that denotes this.
I'm looking at chat. Bideford, is it margarita time? Can I have am I allowed to have a margarita? Telstar86, thank you for the support. They say, poke the bear. We love an EJ rant. That's true. Lars, thank you for the support. They say, Jack's Kilt Fund. Stop it.
Yes, continue it.
Stop it. No. Just stop it. Thank you for the support. Mark Mappleback, thank you for the support. They say, odd, Starlink 86 just rolled back to Tuesday from Wednesday on Slick 40, now overlaps Polaris Dawn on LC39A. Thoughts?
Say that one more time. I was answering the poll.
Starlink 86 just moved back to Tuesday from Wednesday. It's launching from Slick 40, and now it overlaps Polaris Dawn, which is obviously from 39A. They're asking if we have any thoughts.
Huh.
Yeah, that is according to nexttospaceflight.com. That's what it says.
EJ, we have a poll in chat. It says, demand more EJ impressions. And I voted make it so, and most other people did as well. EJ, I am scared. I'm so scared to ask this. Can you do me? I promise I won't be mad with anything you say.
No. No, I'd have to practice that.
All right.
I have trouble doing impressions of people with normal voices. All
That's
right.
the nicest thing anyone has ever said about my voice. I have a normal voice.
Sounds pretty normal to me.
Oh, thank God. In my head, it sounds like the horrible, annoying screeching. It just never stops. All right. Well, if you have any other impressions that you are so inclined to do, it sounds like you have carte blanche. So be my guest at any point you feel so inclined.
All right, young lady, bring me a sandwich from the dumpster and leave the maggots on it.
It's like a tired
more.
whoop, whoop, whoop.
No more. No more. No.
Sad Zoidberg.
Yeah. James
Why not
Powers.
Zoidberg?
James Powers, thank you for the support. They say they're asking me if I've been by Hopper House lately and if their 3D printed Ship 24 and Booster 7 are still there. Honestly, I have no idea. I've been there in the last couple weeks, but I couldn't tell you if they're still there. Sorry. Sawyer, brace yourself. You're bracing?
I'm
Brace,
braced. I'm braced.
Round umbilical carrier plate. Thank you for gifting a Red Team membership. Saturn Man, thanks for becoming a Pad Rat member. One Air RN, thank you for becoming a Capcom member. And Matt's gifting 10 Red Team memberships. Awesome. Let's move on to RFA. EJ.
Hello?
There was some exploding things that happened this week. Multiple.
Well,
not just with RFA,
believe...
but we'll start off with RFA. Give us a rundown of what happened here.
I subscribe to the mantra, pointy end up, flamey end down, and it seems that our RFA didn't abide by those rules.
They're important rules for a reason.
No. Okay, they had a catastrophic failure. Their test article, 9 engines on board, decided it didn't want to be a test article anymore, and they had, in typical Kerbal fashion, they had a rapid unplanned disassembly. The footage is pretty righteous. So basically, what happened? They were doing a test, and right at ignition, something went wrong. The RFA actually is really good about this. They've been super transparent. Their chief operating officer, he has been very transparent about it, saying exactly what went on. They said they had a fire in the pump, which is not where you want fire in a rocket engine. That's the pump. That's a fluid impeller. I'm not 100% familiar with how they move fuel in the Helix engines for RFA, but the pump, the thing that's designed to move the liquid oxygen around, you don't want fire there. So this looks like some kind of hard start. Hard starts can happen for a bajillion different reasons. It's basically the equivalent of a carburetor backfire if you like old cars. Except when it happens with a rocket, it's way more violent. As you can see from that footage, it's not great. So they had
spicy.
Yeah, it got a little spicy. Yeah, those sparks that you see shoot out like right at the beginning are the turbo pump becoming turbo pump int. That's the turbo pump coming apart and basically it turning into an angle grinder and grinding everything away. So per what the gentleman from RFA said, they basically, if you have a turbo pump kind of decide to liberate itself from its housing, it's like a shrapnel grenade going off down there, and it's very clear that it cut fuel lines and messed with the plumbing, and that induced a situation where they couldn't stop fuel flow. With rocket design, right, you have your fuel tanks, and then you have your valves below that, your pre-valves. I mean, it depends on the motor, it depends on the design. Some people don't have pre-valves, right? And you obviously have your umbilical going into your tank, and then your pre-valves down to the motor so you can do engine chill, right? Some designs don't have that. I don't know if RFA does or doesn't have that, but this failure mode that was induced from this turbo pump deciding to be anything it wants to, I want to be free. Whatever safeties they had to try and shut off the fuel flow was clearly damaged from this thing basically, Thanosing itself, right? Yeah, I'm gonna keep going with those analogies, right? So yeah, that caused a huge fire. Fire shot out the side, flaming into the side, not ideal. And because they couldn't control the fire, the whole thing basically burned to the ground, which, man, I know that this stuff is complicated, but yeah, I don't have any affiliation with RFA or anything, but I read about this stuff a lot, and I'm no expert by any means, but if dude, it hurts to watch that footage. It really, really is not ideal.
It does.
Like the whole thing just
it
burns
should not
to the
have been
ground.
able to even do that. Like,
Yeah,
there should have been, and I'm sure there were measures in place to try to prevent something like that from happening. And we don't want to be flip about stuff like this. It's like explosions are cool when nobody gets hurt, but also
it's hard to watch, man.
You have to acknowledge that so many people are working their butts off on this hardware and on these programs.
So much effort.
Yeah, and it's just like, just imagine spending months or years of your life working insane hours on a thing you really truly believe in, and just
seeing it go up like that. Now, fortunately, because the thing actually fell forward and it fell into the flame trench. Yeah, all right.
You said the thing.
Hey. That's the name of the show. Oh, hey. Because it fell forward, it actually didn't damage their test stand too much, and their pad deluge systems actually were working really well, and it put the fire out eventually. After it all burned off.
Yeah, could have been worse. I mean, very bad. Could have been worse.
I mean, they said it worked, but they obviously noted that it was not adequate enough for an event like this because they had the CO2 and the water.
Yeah, I mean, not much is So basically, what happens is, they talked about how it went from a kerosene fire to a liquid oxygen fire. When you're oxidizing something like that and you're dousing your rocket with oxidizer, your whole stack basically becomes a gigantic solid rocket booster. That's what those sparks, like after the fact, that's what all those sparks are shooting out the side. That's the stage becoming a solid rocket booster. It basically just burned. Aluminum and titanium make great solid rocket propellant in the right conditions. They really do.
The aluminum is like very often the fuel in solid rocket motors.
Well, it's a stabilizer. So, okay, nerd stuff coming at you guys. Aluminum flakes are used as a stabilizer in hydroxyl terminated polybutadiene and ammonium perchlorate solid rocket mixtures. The reason why, I know. The reason why is because you might get a little bit of combustion instability with how the grain burns. It might not be completely uniform. So they put aluminum flakes in there to make sure that you get a nice, clean, uniform burn, because that's what you need to make a rocket engine. With an SRB, it's really about maintaining combustion chamber pressure. Now, on a liquid fuel rocket engine, that's done with the pumps, right? But solid rocket fuel, you don't have that, so they use that stabilizer, aluminum flake stabilizer, to keep the combustion chamber pressure nice and straight. I mean, amongst other reasons. There's a bunch of different reasons, but yeah, it makes great solid rocket fuel. Unfortunately, in this scenario, you douse aluminum with liquid oxygen, and it finds a source of heat that can cause it to auto combust. The whole test article became a solid rocket booster, which is not ideal. Once again, it's just hard to watch, dude. You see the thing tip over and then fall under the ground and just, it deflates like a balloon and just blows up. And then in the sound footage, you can hear the COPVs blowing up, which is just, it's difficult to watch, man.
It is.
But it's like, it's so difficult to watch. It's like if you're watching like American hand egg, or we call it football over here. I get it. Everybody else calls it something different. Just that's not what this is about. Stay focused.
Yeah, hand egg.
Yeah, hand egg. You're watching hand egg. You see somebody get laid out, or a rugby game or something. You see somebody get laid out, and you're like, that's gruesome. I want to watch it again. But that's gruesome. But I want to watch it again. It's like, oh no.
Yep. It's replay with
their test stand wasn't. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Their test stand wasn't damaged though, guys. So
remarkable.
I mean, their test stand survived, and that was basically a developmental stage. And I mean, they were going to use it for flights, from what I understand from the explanations from RFA themselves, but they'll just move the next one up. So believe it or not, even though it looks pretty dang bad, they're still going to bounce back, and they'll be flying sooner rather than later. I mean, it stinks because this was like one of the last tests that they were going to do to validate their like flight data. This was like one of the last tests before they were actually going to go hit
Right.
the space bar and launch the thing. So
that's kind of what makes it so painful, right? Is because
Yeah.
they were so close to the finish line, and then they stumbled,
Yep.
just a little bit.
hey, dude, it happens.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly this is, as this new commercial sector and new space market kind of opens up, you're gonna go back to the time, in the 60s where stuff blows up. It's like, all right, stuff blows up. All right, launch it again. Whatever. Send it again. All right, we're going to test this new ICBM. Nope, I guess we're not doing that. It's just, it's gone. It's gone. So, all right, put another one out. You're going to see stuff like this as this, commercial market emerges. This stuff happens. It's hard to take every detail into account, guys. This is a really difficult task. You really need to be on your game. And any failure modes that get introduced now with this rocket is just going to make it better and more. It's going to make it better and more reliable when they actually do go to launch. That doesn't mean it's not a really awesome explosion, though, right? Like,
Right.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. And it's just, it's hard. Space is hard, and
It's hard to
you're
watch,
a rocket, if you're a spaceflight, startup CFO, how much do you budget? How much runway do you budget for your company, or can you even budget for things like this? It's just, oh god, thinking about having to do this on not a government or military industrial complex style scale or budget, and doing it with private money or private equity. I don't envy anyone that's in that position, and I know we all hope that they're able to bounce back. Certainly seems like that's how they're messaging, that they're going to be able to bounce back. And I just want to hit this really quick. We can keep talking about it. We got some questions coming in.
Sure.
Because there's a couple things I want to mention.
Yeah, please. Just really quickly, I just want to. We've talked on this show many times about many various rockets and systems, about how the right thing to do is to be transparent and upfront and show your failures in the same way that you show your successes. And here we have a tweet from our very own Ryan Caton. Good job, Ryan. I cannot echo this statement enough. It looks spectacular and is a great example of how to do things right when you have a failure. This is how you get the public on your side. This is how you get excitement and buy-in. Is you don't just go and hide in the corner when something goes wrong, and you be upfront about it. You show people. You say, this is how we're going to be better in the future, and that gets people on your side. I think
Accountability is key.
Yeah. I think we've seen that with SpaceX time and time again. We've seen that with a handful of other companies.
Bingo.
That's they all want from these companies. Obviously, we're buying as people who cover this stuff. We want more information, not less. But I think experience has shown over the years at this point that this is the way to go. So props to RFA for having the chutzpah to really
Nice.
just call it what it is, and warts and all, and say, here's what we're doing next. It really is remarkable and commendable. Sawyer, what were your thoughts? That was my only little rant that I wanted to do there. Just RFA, I'm sorry, my heart hurts for you, but good job.
No, I was gonna say I really appreciate the openness on it. I mean, Adrian pointed out in the back channel as well. I was gonna bring it up that they have another first stage basically ready to go. I mean, it already had 100 different changes that they were going to make to it after the first flight, regardless. So it will be improved. But I mean, they're really trying to get ahead of this. They're ready for that. In terms of the pad damage, the only damage that they really had, according to what they said, was the direct support systems of the stage that are integrated into the launch stool. Those are the ones that basically sit right next to the engines. Obviously, those will have to be rebuilt, but that's really about it. And I think it also helped in their way of trying to figure out what went wrong. The fact that they mentioned they fired Helix motors over 100 times and have never seen anything like this. So it helps narrow down of this isn't a problem with the engine. This is more of a different problem. And I really appreciate the fact that they're sharing so much of this process, and not just sharing it, but sharing it so quickly after it happens.
Right. Because timeliness is important. You can let the vacuum of information sort of take hold, and then speculation comes in. But yeah, when you rapidly and frankly address the situation, that's it's just the best way to go. You just got to own it. Yeah.
So they RUD, and then they RUD, rapidly understand disaster.
Sure. I'll give that one to you.
Yeah, I'll allow that one. Yeah,
Hey.
yeah, that's good. Oh, well, hey, wait a minute.
Was that a crowd
that was
groan?
Yes,
Well,
that
that was
is,
actually
that
a
is
good one.
Kevin's groan noise. Oh yeah, you've missed that part, Jack. He's gone even more rogue.
So, somebody else talk.
Actually, yeah, no. To build off what Sawyer was saying, it's actually kind of interesting because they said they've fired these Helix engines many a times and not had this problem. This test was the first time they put 9 of them in the back of that stage and then fired it. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm no rocket scientist. Don't know nothing about rocket science. Anyway, sorry. I don't mean to go into song.
You're not sorry. Don't lie.
You're definitely not.
No, I'm not sorry at all. No. That tells me that there's some type of plumbing problem there. The way they're running the prop lines, and also, I mean, there's a bunch of things that could cause that. It could be tank head pressure, and pressure at the impeller. You can cause cavitation in there, and if you cavitate a turbo pump, that's basically game over.
Right.
That so. Guys, the point is that they exposed the failure mode in their rocket, and during testing, which is what's supposed to happen. That speaks to the iterative testing and how their whole testing regime is set up at RFA. I think that's pretty dang robust. I mean, yeah, it sucks that you lost your test article in a potential flight stage down the road, but maybe you might need to redesign the plumbing in there because this.
Right.
I didn't say it a little bit earlier. This screams cavitation in the pump. I mean, they had a fire in there, which means if there's liquid in there, it's going to be really hard to get a fire in it. If there's gaseous oxygen in there, that might be easier to find some heat and something that's combustible.
Right. So that's what cavitation is, right? The impeller in the turbo pump moves in such a way, or the fluid is at such a pressure that it causes bubbles to form on the blades of gaseous whatever going through the pump.
It's called the simpler answer. Yeah, exactly. The simpler answer is that it's a liquid fuel rocket engine. This one is liquid fuel and liquid oxygen, right? So it's RP1 and liquid oxygen. It's not gaseous oxygen. If gaseous oxygen was supposed to be there, it would be called a gas rocket engine. You know what I mean? Not that that's a thing, but yeah, that's not ideal. That would be kind of my guess. Guys, once again, not a rocket scientist, but that's what it sounds like. But it's the fact that we can see that it's obviously like the first time they put 9 engines on this thing, and then they go to fire the night, they go to do the ignition startup sequence, and this happens right away. We can kind of take stabs at what we think the fault tree is. So that means they have a pretty robust testing regime, and they'll be able to bounce back quick. That's the point that I'm trying to make.
Yeah,
you could see what happened. It's pretty obvious. You got to prove it, right?
A little bit, maybe. You feel free to disagree or agree. It kind of, to me, echoes a little bit what happened recently with SpaceX's second stage on Falcon 9. It's like when you do something, a lot of times you start to figure out, the things that happened 1 in 10,000 or 1 in 100,000 or 1 in a million. And like you said, they've fired Helix a whole bunch of times, so Helix good. Mm-hmm. But when you integrate it on the rocket with 9 engines and you do a static fire like this, clearly some other failure mode has been uncovered, and the rocket will be better off going forward for that.
I mean, you can make a siphon, you can make a whirlpool in your stage that causes tank slosh. We've seen that happen before. Your stage basically turns into a toilet bowl, and that toilet bowl is a gyroscope, and angular precession does its thing. That's happened before. You can siphon it and pinch the downcomer.
Demo. They were transfer tube. Don't make me. I'm resisting. Don't give me that face. I completely forgot what I was going to say.
He got so mad he hurt himself in his confusion.
I got so mad. Yeah. Tommy, thank you for upgrading to Capcom membership. I'm just completely...
You okay?
Yeah, I'll be fine. Tommy,
All right.
once again, at Capcom, you get access to the Discord. So pop into Discord and say hey, and you also get access to the pre-show and post-show of the Flame Trench, which I'm particularly fond of. So yeah, a whole bunch of member content coming your way because you upgraded to Capcom. So thanks for doing that, Tommy. Demian, thanks for becoming a Padrat member. I'd rather be flying an X-Wing. $10 tip to tips.nasaspaceflight.com. Y'all, however you choose to support us, whether it's monetary or not, it's so appreciated because I cannot reiterate enough, we can't do this stuff without you guys. So thank you for that. I'd rather be flying an X-Wing. They are asking, okay, EJ, another from the king of wild ideas. Instead of deorbiting the ISS, move the US side into NRHO and use that as the new gateway. I don't hate it.
What?
They
Okay.
say, go ahead.
I mean,
Ryan is just shaking his head.
okay, so fellas, that is kind of a little bit unlikely. You got to think about the ISS kind of like it is a spaceship. It does have its own propulsion, right? But it's more akin to like an oil rig in the ocean, like an oil rig that would have an azimuth thruster. So something that's not anchored to the ground, that's kind of floating over a deep sea well, and it, partially sinks itself and it just kind of sits there in the water. Like some oil rigs are floating, right? And they have azimuth thrusters. They can maintain attitude control because they got to stay over the well, right? We saw what happens when that doesn't happen a little while back.
Right.
I mean, that it's a little more complicated than that. That's not exactly what happened, but you get the idea. If you don't stay over the well, bad stuff happens, right?
That's why
what's
NASA
up?
sent oil drillers to save the Earth from an asteroid in 1998, right? That's why they did that.
Yeah.
I love that documentary.
Okay. So the ISS is more like an oil rig. Now, just because an oil rig has thrusters doesn't mean, if they need to bring the oil rig into port, right? You'd get a tug, you'd get a rig tender, and you'd tow it, right? If you tried to like cross the ocean in an oil rig, provided the seas Poseidon doesn't come and knocking on your door, right? Like,
right.
You could do it, right? But probably should just put it on a submersible dry dock or pull it with a tug if it's going a short distance, right? The ISS is like that. With an oil rig, we have a dry dock. You could, float the thing up, you could get it up out of the water, and then you could sail it wherever you need to go, right? You can't really do that with the ISS. The ISS really isn't designed to do that. It would be like trying to do a transatlantic crossing with an oil rig. That's not really how that works. I mean,
it'd be like trying to boost your sketchily designed and built Kerbal Space Program space station, and just like shaking the whole thing apart in 5 seconds as soon as you turn the thrust on. It's just not built for that.
Yeah, it's not really designed for that kind
that's
of.
all.
Yeah, no, that'll fix it. It's fine.
But yeah,
also
the fact, keep in mind that the first pieces of the ISS went up in 1998, and crew started in 1999. So we are talking a vehicle that is older than our own Ryan Caton. So,
oh my god,
yeah,
I'm so old.
Wow.
So just keep that in mind. It's an older vehicle, and so the maintenance cost to keep that running even, especially then not being able to quickly resupply it or quickly repair it all the way out on the moon, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's like, don't get me wrong, you could do it. Oh yeah, you could do it with enough cash. You could. I mean, there's nothing outside of the realm of physics that's going to prevent that from happening. The ISS would have to be going out to the moon on some type of low transfer. It's the amount of delta V that you would need there, guys. You'd need somewhere in the ballpark of, I don't know. What is it off the top of my head? 3-4 kilometers a second delta V. That there's nothing. You'd need to attach like basically a full Saturn V to the ISS, like first stage, second stage, third stage. And that might give you enough. I mean, actually, that would probably be enough. Maybe not the first stage. So like Saturn V second stage and third stage. If you could somehow graph that to the ISS and send it and not just have the thing explode into a bajillion pieces on engine ignition, that might do it. It's possible, but that thing it's big. It's big, and it's like I said, oil rig. It's not really designed to do that. Now, if someone proposed a solution to do that and NASA actually went and said, yeah, we'll do that, I mean, I'd be here for it. That'd be really cool. but also very dangerous. That's, it's not really designed to do that. You'd have to like pack down the station like IKEA furniture here and then
Flat
move it
pack
somehow. Yeah, you'd have to flat pack the thing because the solar panels are. The ISS truss segment is only really designed for so much not torsional load, for only designed for so much bending load. That was actually studied during Space Station Freedom. Don't ask me why I know this. They studied the effects of the shuttle outgassing, near a station that has a truss segment with solar panels on it, and they figured out that in the right conditions, the shuttle's RCS could push the solar panels like a sail, and that could put a huge bending load on your entire truss segment. So that's, if you're pushing the station from behind, you're going to run into that same kind of load. It's only rated for so much before it'll just snap in half. Why do you know this? Do you really want to know the truth to that question?
No, I do want to know. I think
If that's the
chat wants to know
spaceflight
also.
official is asking, then yes, we gotta know.
All right, Bergenator, you want to know the answer. So I went to replicate Space Station Freedom in Kerbal with a shuttle one time, and I get it, fellas. It's Kerbal. I know. It's like, well, I ran to it in Kerbal, so it must be true. No, when I build projects in KSP over on my stream, we dig into NASA technical reports and try to build it as close as we can so it acts like the real thing. Like the shuttle that I have that I built in KSP in Kerbal stuff flies too well. So I actually had to, with my shuttle, make it fly worse to make it fly more realistic, right? You can learn about like pitching moment and pitching torque. I have the Kerbal wind tunnel mod if you really want to know, so you can figure that stuff out and do data analysis before you go and fly the thing, right? But yeah, we were looking up things about Space Station Freedom, and there was a technical report that talked about that kind of stuff. That's the reason why the solar panels are way out on the sides. The early ISS or Space Station Freedom concepts had the solar panels, they were kind of close, and then they had that was the power tower, and then they had the dual keel, which still is an awesome idea. They should still do that, but they figured out that that'd be way too complicated to make in space. But is it though? Is it? You sure about that?
You sure about that? You
sure about that?
That's why. God,
and then they went to the base.
You believed way too much. That show has wormed its way into my brain.
So
there's so many good gifts too. I don't even want to be around anymore.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So yeah, that's part of the reason why the solar panels on the station or on the ISS and previously the baseline configuration of Space Station Freedom, why they're so far apart, because the shuttle with its plethora of thrusters could bend the truss segment. You'd encounter the same kind of loads if you put a stage on the back of the ISS and sent it. So you're limited by thrust to weight here, right? So the point is like you'd need something that has low TWR but 5 kilometers a second delta V, and you'd have to do moving the ISS out there to rectilinear halo. You'd have to, first of all, you need 1.9 kilometers a second to capture the moon, and then on top of that, you need probably like 3 to 4 kilometers a second. But it would have to be a transfer of super low energy, maybe even a ballistic lunar transfer. So, minus the 1.9 kilometers a second for the insertion burn. It'd have to be like the SpaceX mission, I think it's KPLO, the Korean Polar Lunar Orbiter. That type of insertion is what you'd need to do. Basically send it out there as on a very, very, very low energy, like not a lot, just push it every once in a while, use O-berth effect to push your orbit higher and higher. And then eventually, right where you hit your apogee, the moon just happens to be there and pulls you in. Right. The ISS would have to do something like that to avoid overloading the truss segment, amongst other things. I mean, if we really wanted to be super technical time, we could go look at the axial load rating on a common berthing mechanism. But
wait, can I stop you really quick? Pause you really quick. Just pause. Ninja Decimator, pew pew pew, is asking, should he? Thank you. Should he? Oh, you got a double pew. EJ should talk about the ISS in Gru's voice. So finish your thoughts in Gru's voice. This is the request.
Please don't do this. I don't want to.
You don't have to. You don't have to. I'm just. I like Ninja
Dance, monkey,
Decimator.
dance.
And chat
So,
was
yeah.
was pretty stoked on the suggestion. I gotta say.
I'd have to listen to more.
Okay.
Yeah, group.
You have homework.
We're not,
you have
we're not-
homework.
Yeah.
Oh no. What can of worms did I open?
Next
Anyway,
week on the Flame Trench.
I knew it's a double-edged sword being good at this. Okay, right.
Yeah.
But anyway, you could look at ConOps removing the ISS. It's possible. You could do it. It would take years to get that thing out there. Like even Gateway right now with all of its funnies, we'll say,
Yeah.
it would still probably get out there earlier than if you had a solution to that problem right now and started boosting the ISS right now. Gateway would
Right.
probably still get there first. Yeah. Oh
Good
yeah.
deal. Well, it was a suggestion from the King of Wild Ideas, self-professed. So thank you for.
It is a wild idea.
Thank you for
it's
taking
not-
it.
Yeah, that's all good.
I mean,
Also,
we
screw
get,
rectilinear near rectilinear Hable over. Well, I can't even
Yeah,
say it. That's
it's
how much
terrible. I
I hate
hate-
it. Screw it.
I hate that
You-
orbit.
you
EJ, you
okay
say
there?
funnies with NRHO. I just say bull crap.
I mean, forgetting to include the mass of your wire harness for your module is not, when it's past critical design review, is not great. That's
not great, Bob.
Not great, Bob.
no, that's not, yeah. That's like building a car, putting it together, going to start the engine, and you forgot the gas. It's like,
No, you
Oh.
forgot the engine isn't actually powerful enough, or like doesn't have enough torque or whatever to
yeah,
actually like turn the tires. It's
yeah,
like, oh,
no
whoops.
posit traction.
You probably should have figured that out. Are we just gonna do Positrak?
Yeah.
We're gonna do my cousin Vinny on every episode. We just have to.
That
We
didn't
got
happen
to.
here.
The
Um,
positive
going-
traction.
Going back
Mhm.
to RFA for a second, Nam is asserting that it was also a T-tab issue. Is that, did I miss that? Oh,
I mean, that is.
I just wanted to bring
Yeah.
this one in because you said all the fancy words earlier, and I now get to
Mhm.
say triethyl aluminum, triethyl borane like I'm a smart person, even though I'm not. So, but
Yeah. So
was that a
that-
factor?
that could be it. Something something had to put fire into the LOX impeller. You're not supposed to have fire there. The fire's supposed to happen further downstream, right? So if you think of it like a waterfall, right? The tank is the top of the waterfall, and the explosion coming out the bottom of the rocket engine, that's the end of the waterfall. You're going downstream. The fire went upstream. That's bad. Now, that is one of the ways I'm not, man, I watched the RFA video really quick. That is not out of the realm of possibility because, so Jack, you said the big words, T-tab, triethyl aluminum and triethyl borate. When they combine, they're pyrophoric, right? So when they combine, if they find oxidizer, they become hypergolic with liquid oxygen. So that could be a thing. What, okay, it's not out of the realm of possibility. And obviously, officially, right, we should wait for RFA. Like, they would know better than anybody else, and they're still doing their fault tree. There you go, RC. I said it for you. They're doing their fault tree right now. So we'll wait and see. But, okay, this is EJ's crazy speculation time. They fired this engine Yeah, exactly. They fired this engine many times. This is and the one time they put 9 of them together and go to fire it, it goes explodey. Yeah.
Is that also from last week? How much did I miss last week?
Dude, I hosted it. This
The soundboard.
freaking crashed and burned like their test article, man. Anyway, so yeah, it could be. That's not out of the realm of possibility. That is something that could induce fire in a LOX impeller, but I don't know, man. It could be a combination of things, right? It could be cavitation in the pump, and if you have cavitation, you're going to get a drop in pressure in your impeller, and then you go to light the T-tab, and it goes backwards. It goes upstream, and that's not what you want. That you got to make sure all the stuff moves downstream. If it goes backwards, you got a big problem. So also, can I do that with my hands again? And Jay, play that sound effect. Can we do that? Ready? 1, 2, 3.
All right, wait. No, we gotta coordinate. We gotta
That
coordinate.
was Kevin, by the way, doing that.
Do a 3, 2, 1. But the
How do you
sound
know
will have
from
you, but
funny?
the 0 was unsaid. All right, 3, 2. No, you gotta do the hands free. Come on, we're doing this. We're committing. 3, 2, 1. Yay!
I can already hear LSR typing away, creating the GIF.
Okay.
I like the crazy speculation time sound effect. Cool. Well, I think that's about it for RFA. So, did you have anything else on that before we move right along?
No, other than
Kevin is just happy-go-lucky with the sounds. now.
other than again, it was one engine that spread to the others, but I have faith that they will get this fixed, and I think they're going to be a big contender once RFA starts launching. And why do I think that? Well, I'm not the only one. Adrian Bio also thinks that. And he even talked about it in our most recent feature video that we posted here on NASA Spaceflight's YouTube channel, talking about all of the future of rockets. We're talking small, expendable, large expendable, reusable, innovators, all of that. So if you haven't watched that, check it out. I think it's really interesting. I want to hear people's opinions on, do we really need all of these different rockets that are starting up now?
Yes. More rockets, more better. No, I mean, watch the thing. Come to your own conclusion. But
Yes.
more.
I already
more
came to
rockets.
my conclusion. Is that bad? Yes.
no, it's you. Did you have a
Yes.
jump to conclusions, Matt?
Yeah, it's a map with different conclusions that you can jump to.
That is the worst idea. I forget what the response is that from Samir. Samir has like a really good.
Yes,
Like-
that is horrible.
That is horrible.
Horrible.
Perfect. Cool. Well, yeah. I'm props to RFA once again for being transparent, and my heart goes out to them. Can't wait to see them bounce back, and definitely check out that video that Adrian and the team made. It's a solid one, and it's a really good way to sort of just orient yourself on the different sizes of the different rockets, the different capabilities, what things at. It's a fantastic video. Cool. Ninja Decimator. Ooh. On the ball, Kevin. Good job. Gifting 5 red team memberships. Thank you so much, bud. RC Horseman also gifting 5. Thank you so much. Ninja Decimator again. Pew, pew, pew. Well, that's too many. Okay,
Well, we had
I'm putting
RC
my foot
Horseman.
down. I'm putting my foot down, and I'm sorry, RC Horseman. That's too many.
But what about
Too many sounds.
what happens when we get to Apocalypse Cow? We got Danger Boo too.
Oh my god! But not everybody can have a sound effect. Okay. Anyways,
I think you just
Ninja
made a challenge for Kevin.
Oh god. Ninja Decimator again. They say Midwest is best. Just saying them back, Jack. Oh no, 2 rhymes in 1 chat.
How about that?
Midwest. They call it it's for a reason. I mean, 'cause you fly over them. Sorry, Midwesterners, but it's true.
Actually, statistically speaking, for flights, Virginia is the most flown over state. Look it up.
And I have very little desire to go to Virginia.
But Virginia's for
Why?
that's why, because Virginia is for lovers. That's why you don't want to go there.
What? There's a space
I
shuttle
swear.
there. I love the space shuttle.
welcome,
so
Okay, I take it back. I do have a desire to go to Virginia to see the shuttle. Thank you.
there's an SR-71 as well,
Also good.
Udvar
Yes.
Hazy in general,
Concord.
yes. But anyway,
and Concorde, and the Dash 80.
Wait, they have a
67
Conky?
Dash 80.
they have a conky.
Of course, they have a Conky. Dude,
I was
they have the.
I was expecting pushback. Like I was expecting serious pushback on Conky.
I've given up on the pushback with this one at this point. The tribe has spoken.
I mean, it's
Actually,
a cool plane.
Yeah, we're talking about the Udvar Hazy Center, so it's the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum Annex, Stephen F. Udvar Hazy Center. It's attached to Dulles Airport in Virginia, and it is top 3 museums for planes in the country by a long shot. Yeah, it's that, Museum of the Air Force, and Pima. Those are my 3.
Dude,
Museum
Pima?
of Flight's up there too.
Oh, I love Pima.
Pima's,
so much.
oh, it's heaven, man.
Plus, it's like
Seven.
right there next to AMARG. So, like, if you're
Yep.
feeling really fancy, you can pay for a helicopter flight around, usually not over, but sometimes around AMARG, which is their giant boneyard
Jack.
of planes that's out
Oh,
there.
that place is cool.
My chat says if you have Conky, you have to accept downcomer. It's a trade.
No. See, okay, first off, your chat, I'm disappointed in it because you're a smart guy. I expect your chat to be smart people. So right off the bat, the false equivalence that should be made in this argument is Hoppy and Conky. That's why I started doing Conky, to illustrate how absurd Hoppy is. They're both amazing vehicles and deserve respect. So if Conky, but you do like Hoppy, maybe re-examine your decisions.
Hey, don't you disrespect my chat like that. The only person allowed to do that is me. All right.
What are they going to do about it? What are they going to do about it? I'm not on Twitch.
You are right now.
Oh God.
You know what else is hoppy? Sometimes if you potentially overpressurize things and then they pop, I guess they technically hop a little bit. Because that didn't happen to any other company or anything this week, right?
Classic Sawyer segue.
That was one of my worst, but yeah, thank you, Kevin.
Yeah,
I deserve that.
That's why it was classic. So yeah, let's move on and talk about the information. I guess we should say the news regarding what Blue has been dealing with in the last week or so. EJ, what's going on with Blue and New Glenn? Also, I'm really sorry, EJ's chat. I love you. I was just joking around. I didn't mean it.
You made him sad.
So New Glenn. We have actually Blue announced today that the Escapade mission is net October, so we should be seeing a New Glenn launch sooner rather than later. Once you started announcing net dates, that's usually when you kind of at least see the light at the end of the tunnel here towards, going from that development push to operations, right? But speaking of operation, there seems to be some not ideal stuff going on. Yeah, the net is October 13th. Thanks, boys. Courtesy of our backroom people. We have this picture teed up. Julia Bergeron kind of drove by Blue's. She kind of drove by the 2CAT. So that is the second stage tank cleaning and testing building. And, per a Bloomberg article, apparently Blue had some issues with some of their second stages, particularly the New Glenn GS2. So Glenn Stage 2, thanks Tim's video. Tim's video with Jeff is amazing, by the way. The second flight stage and the third flight stage. Now, inside of the 2CAT was the third flight stage. So fellas, if you're not particularly familiar with that building, there you should be a big door on the front.
Right. If you've seen any of our KSC flyovers, you know that there is, in fact, a door. And there is no longer a door.
The door is not there.
The front fell off.
The front did fell off, and it has been removed from the environment.
I must stress that this is not normal.
Yeah. Well, is that supposed to happen to all your stages?
No, absolutely not.
Oh. Okay. It's not designed for that. It's been removed from the environment. Anyway. So clearly something went wrong here. To make enough force to blow that door off of its rails, that sounds like catastrophic depress. Like they may have overpressurized the tank. I mean, it could be a bajillion different things.
Right.
But clearly that the 2CAT is damaged.
Clearly they blew the door off.
No, I wasn't gonna do it, man.
That was great. I
stole it. I stole it from Alex, but I'm shameless. I had to do it.
Alex, why, dude? Why? You're not here. I have to deal with this, man. You kidding me right now?
All right, so basically, EJ, you're saying we don't know the origin, then?
Hey!
Oh man, you are making me so angry.
This show's just turning into like a voodoo doll for EJ.
So,
anyway, continue. Sorry.
So something that we might not have like back footage for in the back channel. I just thought of this. Me and my chat were talking about this. If I recall correctly, in chat, NSF chat, Twitch chat, you guys correct me if I'm wrong here.
I'm looking.
I seem to recall in Tim's video, Jeff Bezos said that the third flight stage is not an ortho grid. It's made out of, they're using a different material for it. So the third flight stage has a very big design change to it. So
is that the one where they're going to ISO grid instead of ortho grid? Or I remember a big discussion about that in that, or was that something else?
I think he. Oh, please, man! I watched that video so quickly. I watched it on 1.5 speed because I don't have time because I'm just a mess. Anyway, they said it. I think they removed the orthogrid. I don't know if they changed the material. I mean, I know somebody in chat's gonna know, and I know Alex is sitting back there. So I'm going somewhere, going like,
Don't worry, I'm looking at chat.
no. So they made a big design change. That's the point. So the third stage thing might not be the third flight GS2. Hey, they may have been pushing it to its limit. However, here's the thing. Pretty sure that building, the 2CAT, the second stage cleaning and testing facility, was not designed for destructive testing like that. If it was, the door would probably still be there. So clearly this exposed some kind of problem with that redesign. And like, don't get me wrong, Blue will figure it out. I mean, you guys watched Tim's video. Did you see the hardware? You see that place?
Such
It just
a
looks
great
like
tour.
heaven.
So
right?
like, I was literally watching it, and I texted Tim in all caps, "Bro, this is so good!" Like, it was...
Yeah, exactly. It's an amazing facility. They definitely have the chops. It's like a 10,000 strong company at this point. They have the chops to figure it out. I'm not worried. What I'm kind of like wondering about though is the New Glenn second flight second stage, or the second flight GS2, I think is what they call it. We were introduced to a whole bunch of new nomenclature for Blue Origin in Tim's video. So
Yeah,
guys,
what was it?
definitely
Exo-atmospheric deceleration burn?
Yeah, man. You know, hey, you can say whatever you want about Jeff. Jeff is an amazing STEM communicator. He is very good at that. Like, very good. Like, some of his explanations for stuff were really, really, really good. Guys could have been a great science teacher in another life.
Right.
You know? So they're posting 2 pictures of cats in the back.
Yeah, because it's the 2CAT. Like, meow, meow.
Yeah, it's the.
Okay. Anyway.
It sounded like
What
3CAT.
the heck was that?
Let's not ever do that again.
It's a good thing Jake isn't here to hear that. My gosh. But yeah,
if he was on your lap right now, you might have just been scarred.
yeah, but it's the 2CAT is the
Oh, there you go.
second stage cleaning and testing facility, and yes, second stage does not start with 2. So just pointing that out.
It's fine.
Yep. So John
Stop
over in
it.
chat. Yeah, they
Ew.
just they
This is gross.
It's terrible.
You know it's bad when I'm trying to right the ship, guys. Okay, you know it's bad. All right, you know it's bad. Anyway, John. Yeah, okay. So they don't use the orthogrid on the second stage because it's not reusable. They use an unspecified, more economical process now. Well, yeah, clearly that process needs some refining. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's pretty evident. I could say that with pretty good confidence, considering that the door is missing and part of the roof is missing. So,
I mean, it could be the material's fine. It's just there was some sort of testing issue, a la early Starship flights, or not flights, early Starship roof tests, where they did the crumple pop on SN3 or the explosion on Mark 1. Like, maybe they're just a test flow.
Once
error.
again, I'm pretty sure those facilities, the tank cleaning and testing and the second stage cleaning and testing, the 2CAT, I'm pretty sure those facilities are designed for non-destructive testing. So you probably not the facility to expose a failure mode. Like ULA had a thing with Centaur 5 where on high energy insertion trajectories, the compression load on the Centaur 5, it could cause a leak. And they had that leak on the test stand, and the test stand blew up. However, they were testing for that in an outdoor environment, right? Like it wasn't an enclosed building. You generally don't do destructive testing inside, it's probably not a good idea. But either way, yeah, I mean that the third flight second stage is a new design per Jeff, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. However, the second flight second stage. Sorry, it's scrambling my mind.
You're good.
My mind is just a piece of poop today. Anyway, gosh dang son of a. All right, Winnipeg. All right, cool. So the second flight second stage. Sorry, I just thought of Winnebago, man. All right, anyway, the second flight second stage, per that Bloomberg article, apparently imploded, MythBusters style. You guys remember the MythBusters where they imploded the tanker car?
Yeah, the tanker car.
So the second stage apparently did that because they had it outside baking in the sun, and then they brought it inside. They took it out of the environment and put it in another environment, Jack, picking up a little laying down.
Yeah.
And they did it without proper HVAC control. So they didn't have vents or any type of system to maintain constant pressure in there, which, I mean, you do that for a bunch of different reasons, but one of them is for structure, so the pressure doesn't drop inside of the stage and have it implode on itself. Once again, we don't know if that Bloomberg thing is true, but they were kind of right about the third flight, second stage. So having your second flight, second stage implode on itself is probably not good. I mean, once again, I don't think it's not like, oh my gosh, it's so over. This is the end of Blue. No, bump in the road for a company that big with that much chops. Like once again, look at the hardware, guys. Like they can make another one. It's not a big deal.
Can we show this GIF, Jay? Can we show the tanker GIF? It's just so satisfying, and it's a good visual aid. While we bring that up, I do want to read this super chat from Musical Wolves. Did Blue Origin ask Boeing to make the door of Toucat?
Oh.
It's the flame trench. Come on, it's got to be a little spicy. It's got to be a little bit spicy. Come on. Tommy also beat them by about 2 minutes and said the door was designed by Boeing.
You know what, man? I seriously, I don't think Starliner is the worst design. I think the kinks should be rolled out, and I would love to see the thing fully operational. With that being said, the memes are
fire.
Very funny.
Yes.
They're pretty good, man. They're pretty funny. They do make me laugh. Like,
I'm here for the memes.
It is pretty good. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I wish I'd come up with that one. Just saying, but
savage.
If I could put it out
internet,
there, I'm just going to throw in my own question.
Please.
So we've got the issue of implosion versus explosion here.
Yes.
Can you kind of just explain the difference with each one, what we're talking about, explosion versus implosion was?
You're not setting me up for a pun, are you?
Goes boom. Implosion goes...
Well, no, I mean, in this context.
Okay. You're I swear, if you're setting us up for a pun here, I'm going to be a little...
I actually was not. No, genuinely not.
Okay. All right. So this has to do with pressure differential, right? So when you have something explode, your pressure inside of the tank is greater than the external pressure, so much so that your pressure vessel can't hold it anymore. And
Delta P
pops.
Delta P will get you. It'll get you.
Oh yeah. I mean, especially if it happens quick.
Do not, and I cannot stress this enough. Chat, do not Google "Fight for Dolphin." Don't do it. Don't do it.
I thought you were going to say don't Google Delta P, in which case I would grab an umbrella. But anyway.
No.
So.
No. It's a crazy diving bell incident involving a high amount of Delta P and various people who got turned into chunky marinara. Anyways, please continue. Delta P will get you.
What?
Yeah, it's a thing. Google it. But don't Google it.
No, I don't want to do any of that. So when you have a higher internal pressure than external, your delta P, so delta is a Greek character that's used for change, right? So, delta V is used in rocket science, change in velocity. This is change in pressure. And keep in mind, tanks change pressure all the time. The problem is when it happens really fast, rapid, unplanned, right? So with an explosion, your internal pressure is way higher than your external pressure, and all whatever's trapped inside that tank wants to get out. And in the case of rockets, your tank pops like a balloon. I recall the SLS hydrogen core stage test article where they put it in a giant can crusher and then pressurized it to like 300%, and then it popped quite very much like a balloon. It just, So that's an explosion. An implosion is when the opposite of that happens. You have a higher external pressure than you do an internal pressure, right? And what happens is the exact opposite. It'll crumple because it basically can't. Okay, so in the context of a stage being down on the ground.
No. How hard is it to just get a simple meow sound effect?
What?
Meow, meow. That's all it needs. It doesn't need to be some sort of horrible. Please, EJ, continue.
Can we at least wait till he finishes his discussion here? Because I'm actually learning.
So basically, if we're talking about like in the context of blue, right? You changed you have the weight of the atmosphere basically pushing in on this thing, and the structure has to basically be able to withstand the delta in here, right? So with a stage like a tank that's sitting on the ground, right? You have the entire weight, and yes, it is weight of the atmosphere pushing down on that thing. And basically an implosion will happen. It'll crumple in on itself when the pressure outside is too high and the structure of the tank can't hold it anymore. Like I said, the Mythbusters episode where they imploded a tanker car, they attached a vacuum pump to a train.
There's a test happening at McGregor right now. Right, like
Oh,
behind
nice.
you. Because you're at McGregor,
I'm on
right?
fire.
Behind you.
Yeah.
Nice.
So the Mythbusters, where they tested this, they attached a vacuum pump and they pulled everything out of that tank, and there was nothing inside of it. And it basically, once the pressure inside dropped too far, it's fatigued the metal enough, and it basically crunched in on itself. An implosion looks like what happens if you step on a soda can, right?
Right.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. This is what I mean when I say Delta P will get you. Like, you don't think of a tanker car like this that has so much bulk to it as being able to be so easily crumpled.
Now that is not it. Like, don't look at that. Don't look at the railroad car imploding and be like, oh my gosh, did their second stage do that? No. First of all, aluminum doesn't bend like that. It cracks. I mean, Ryan, I know we have Ryan in the back channel. I bet you can speak to this. Aluminum fractures. It cracks, right?
Right.
I'm getting nods from Ryan. Yes, it cracks. So in this case, the blue stage probably cracked a little bit and then probably imploded a little bit. It didn't do what that train car did. That's steel, first of all, completely different material properties. And yeah, that one's a lot. That was a heck of an implosion. It's kind of cool to watch. But yeah, so in the context of what happened, or what supposedly happened with Blue's second stage, right? It was outside baking in the sun. So what gas you have inside of that tank, right, is going to heat up. And there's this law in physics called the ideal gas law. Okay, PV equals nRT. So the plain English way of saying what happens there with this is, if you heat up a gas, pressure is going to go up. If you cool a gas, pressure is going to go down. So think about this for a second. And this speaks to the tolerances that these stages are engineered to. It's very easy to break it. Let me put it to you like that. So this thing goes from baking in the Florida sun all day, and it heats up all the gas inside, right? And then you bring it inside to an air-conditioned environment, and all that gas cools really, really quickly. That delta P it'll cool it all real quick, and all that gas will shrink down. And if you see, Jack's right, change in pressure will get you. But what's really going to screw it up is quick changes in pressure, catastrophic depressurization, right? Like happening really fast, what's called a shock delta P. So it happens quick, right? If you took it when it's outside and it's like 35 C outside, and you took it inside where it's like 20 C, that is enough to, it'll cool down all those gases really rapidly, and it'll basically crumple in on itself. Once again, it's probably not a big deal. Like you probably wouldn't be able to tell if you looked at that thing, sailing by on the road or something, right? But I mean, it'll crack, and if it cracks, the tank's not useful, right? So anyway,
maybe buff it out. I mean, remember
once again,
if you're familiar with early Falcon 1 lore, didn't they do that with a Falcon 1 first stage as they were descending from altitude in a plane, and they had to like rapidly mitigate the issue as the plane descended into landing? It's a thing. Delta P.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, somebody over Bright Shiny over in my chat, was it baking in the sun, venting, and then sealed and put inside? There was no change. So they had it inside. They sealed it up, brought it outside, and then brought it back in again. And the gas is inside. There was no HVAC control on the stage, which is not something you do with something that's pressurized, that's engineered to a really fine tolerance like that, especially a 7-meter aluminum orthogrid second stage. Right. That's gigantic. If you guys see some of the NSF footage of like Falcon 9s being transported around, If you
Right.
look at the very back, you have all the socks on the back of the rocket engine, the rocket socks, right? And
Right.
then you could see Falcon 9's T0 and T1 carrier umbilicals, basically, where they hook up all the fuel and, commodities to the vehicle. Even when a Falcon 9 is being transported, right, there's still an HVAC system hooked up to make sure that this doesn't happen.
Right.
It's always there. You see it if they're using SPMTs to move it around, or that the gigantic Bile Brothers transporter that they use sometimes. You
Right.
see all of it hanging off the back. It's HVAC systems to make sure that shock delta P doesn't happen.
Yeah, and we see that with Starship as well. It's
Yep,
a common
bingo.
thing. You see the little cart that rides along with, a little platform
Yep.
with the press stuff. And speaking of Starship, we should probably talk about Starship, huh?
Who wants
is
to
gonna
talk
be
about
fun.
that?
I don't
Certainly
know.
not.
Two of them.
Certainly not Ryan Weber, who's been waiting very patiently. So yeah, let's get into where we're at with Starship. Obviously, the second tower has been topped out. Ryan, tell us all about the state of play here in Starbase. But first, let's do some support. In your face. In your
He's gonna
face.
do him like that? Dang, man.
Blake Alexander, thank you for gifting 10 Red Team memberships. If my panel will work, the panel's not working. There we go. HYQ, thank you for becoming a Capcom member. Again, pre-show and post-show access, and all of the other sweet stuff you get as part of the Discord. So thank you for jumping in as a Capcom member. We hope you enjoy all the perks. Telstar86, they say just give me a satellite beeping sound. I'm not sure what that was in regards
Or
to. Probably
sound
what sound-
effects, horses, or pew pew pew.
Okay, yeah. Telstar 86 should have like a Sputnik kind of sound. No, not everybody can have a sound. That's the thing. Once you give one person a sound, everybody wants a sound. Not that anyone is less deserving of a sound. I mean, Telstar,
If you're going to take a Gatorade, then everyone's going to take a Gatorade. So who's going to pay for the Gatorades?
Come on, man. Oh, God, I love Clerks.
Exactly. They drank it all.
37. Okay, Snot Garden.
Gatorades. 37 Gatorades.
Yeah, 37 Gatorades. Yeah. Snot Garden with probably the worst name, but we still love you, and we see your name pop up all
It's
the
an awesome
time. So
name.
thank you. They say thank you for the all-star coverage. Thanks so much
Sneezing
for the
sound
generous
effect.
super chat. Yeah, no. Oh my God, stop. This is out of control. That would be a good one though. Achoo. Gross. It's so gross. Bideford,
Bless
thank
you.
you for the $10 super. They say we're done. Margarita time. Hosting NSF
Yeah,
and my
baby.
favorite 3 Flame Trench nerds.
Oh,
Enjoy.
thank you.
Deborah Jean, thanks for the support. They say y'all are making me laugh, and I needed it.
Yep.
I don't.
We aim to please.
When people get a print, and I say that that's like the highest honor you could have as like a photographer or someone that makes art, that really means a lot. I'm sorry that you needed it, but I'm glad that we're helping. SN31, thank you for the support. They say the tank could be considered Mark 1. Yeah, in a lot of ways. The one that exploded anyways. Musical Wolves, thank you for the support. They say just to confirm, Delta V is not invented by Delta Airlines. And Bob Fillmore, thank you for gifting 5 Red Team memberships.
I saw Gwen Evan in chat said that Delta 5 is SLS, and I agree with you. SLS is in the Delta family of rockets.
I agree. I also kind of feel like Vulcan is in the Delta family of rockets. I don't know.
Vulcan
Are you
is
just saying
Atlas
that
6.
anything that has Sophie on it is.
I mean, there's the
No.
Sophie. There is the cryogenic.
No. Hear me out.
And also, I just love Delta Medium. I miss Delta Medium. I've missed Delta Medium since its last launch, however many years ago. So in my head, I'm telling myself Vulcan's kind of. We still haven't talked about Starship. Poor Ryan.
Sorry, man. No, but okay, all right. Here we go. Let me say this real quick. So from Delta 2 to Delta 3, all right, they put the Delta cryogenic second stage on it, right? So that's, but it's a cut down Delta 2 core with a lot of SRBs, right? And then they moved to Delta 4. And the second stage basically stayed the same. They introduced a 5-meter variant, but completely changed the core of the vehicle to the Delta 4 common booster core. So per Delta's own naming nomenclature, keeping the same upper stage and payload fairing and replacing the rest is still a Delta rocket. That's per their own nomenclature. SLS has the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, which is derived from the same DCSS. Okay, it is Delta 5. Vulcan is Atlas 6 because it uses a Centaur. First Centaur to fly was on an Atlas rocket.
All right.
Yep.
All right. You know
There
what?
you
Your ideas are interesting to me, and I would like to subscribe to your newsletter.
Wait, you're all agreeing with me?
But
Oh,
he's going
I
to
was
be
expecting
selling
flack
your
for this.
data. I mean, if I disagree, but because at that point, that's your validation for it, then shuttle could be considered a Delta vehicle. I mean, shuttle Centaur would have absolutely then had to have been part of a Delta vehicle because it
Hey.
used the Sophie. It's got the cryogenic upper
Yeah.
stage. It does use
And
just the
again,
regular. I mean, come on, that.
but then
Delta
again,
S. Delta
the
S.
space shuttle, Delta S. The space shuttle uses a segmented solid rocket booster, which is derived from Titan. Titan also flew with the Centaur.
Ooh.
So then, which is it?
Shuttle is a Titan-derived launch vehicle. I mean, it makes sense. Like, what do you want?
I love Titan so much. I'm pretty bummed I never got to see one launch, even though I lived in Florida when they were still launching. Let's
Yeah,
talk
it's a
about
shame,
Titan
though,
for
that the
30
pad-
minutes and not talk about Starship.
I was gonna say because it's a shame the Titan pad isn't used anymore and isn't now the busiest launch pad in the world or anything.
Fair.
Slick Woody.
Fair.
He's got a point.
Wasn't Slick 4 also a Titan pad? I think it was.
Yes.
Cool. All right, Ryan, tell us about Starship. I'm sorry. I want to keep messing with you. Actually, I almost no. I'm kidding. Please, Ryan. We saw some interesting new hardware today, and I believe Mary grabbed some footage of it.
Yeah, might as
and a
well
bunch of
start
other
there.
stuff is going on.
Might as well start with Ship 33, right? Might as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, Ship 33's aft section, although it's not tiled. I don't know why it's not tiled. Doesn't have its aft flaps either. Those usually get installed later, but still, it's kind of odd that it's not tiled, though. But, you know, SpaceX is always SpaceXing, so it's kind of one of those things. But, yeah, that would make it 41 days since they started stacking that thing, which is a little bit longer than they have in the past, which is usually about a month to take to stack ships. But it being the first version 2, and then, you know, you got to feel out how do you stack it. You know, it's one of those things. There's so many cool changes with this vehicle. I can't wait to write the whole video on all the different changes. I mean, EJ will like one of them. They're reusing something from Saturn V. I think
There you go. There's the app section.
There's the app section.
Thanks to Mary for running out and grabbing that.
Oh yeah, because they decided to roll it out as soon as we started the pre-show. Like literally.
I almost got in the car and drove out there, but I would not have had time to grab it. And it was like on the move. So seriously, Mary, goat for a reason.
Goated.
So if there should be transfer tube or downcomer pictures.
Yeah.
No.
All right.
The labels say transfer tube. Like, what do you want from me? The labels say transfer tube. Ah!
So SpaceX is going to a single transfer tube per RVAC. So basically, you're going to have 4 tubes that come out of the common dome and go straight down, just like the Saturn V did, out of the dome and went down to the outer 4 F1 engines. So it's kind of cool to see this introduction here. They didn't have it's kind of a cool change. The first Block 1 only had 1, so it's definitely an interesting change, and I can't wait to see this thing on a pad or something in static fire or cryo or anything for that matter. I want to see a fully completed ship. I just want to. It better be a daytime rollout. I'm gonna get mad if it's not.
Why are we looking at a Saturn V schematic?
Because
Jack, look at
the comparison.
Look at the so on the left side, so Saturn V has the LOX tank up high, RP1 tank down low. Look at the transfer tube downcomer down tuber things.
Down tuber.
See
I
how
like
there's
down tuber.
down tuber.
I can agree
We're
with
making
down tuber.
down tubers. We're making it happen here. You heard it here first. So you see how there's multiple of them going down into the rocket engines. There's 5 of them for the 5 engines, right? SpaceX is doing something very similar to that with their new Starship design. But there's individual down tubers for the 3 vacuum engines, right? And then there's a single one for the 3 sea-level engines on Starship, which is very, very interesting. That's interesting fluid management. My guess is that they're going for the single for 3 because of the landing burn. But, I mean, Ryan, what do you think, dude?
It could partially be because of that. It could also be, I mean, it's just kind of fluid management overall. The one thing they do have is there's kind of like a sump at the bottom of the common dome now. It's kind of like called a beehive. We don't have any. I don't know if we have any shots of it. Because SpaceX loves to roll a lot of this stuff out and then show Ship 33 when we can't see anything.
Is that the crazy like anti-vortex device that looks like a weird metal ring pop?
It's
The beehive.
no, it's a little bit different on Block 2 now. So it probably has the anti-vortex device in it, but it's part of the common dome now. Kind of droops down a little bit and then goes into the transfer tube, which just goes down and whatnot. So what you're looking at there is basically a piece of tooling with the center transfer tube in the middle, and then the 3 outer ones put in. That gets put on. The entire ship gets put over it. They install it, and then they take out the installation tool. So it's kind of a really cool thing that they have now.
I'm just watching chat collectively go insane. Transfer comer. It's a straw.
It's a straw.
Everyone loves down tuber. Yeah.
Emergent.
It's a straw.
People who
Nice.
have played a particular game, maybe you'll get this: emergency induction port. See if anyone gets that one. But anyways, yeah. So Ship 33 should nearly be fully stacked either today, tomorrow, or sometime. They decided to close Mega Bay 2, so we won't see when they do it. You know, sad face. But yeah. So first Block 2 ship. Pretty much done.
I can't wait till we see that thing roll out of Mega Bay 2 and over to Massey's. I hope we get some awesome views of it. It's going to be awesome. I mean, I will finally, after so many years, get our eyes on the next generation Starship vehicle. Thank goodness we're getting close.
It's such a leap forward compared to Block 1. It's ridiculous. All the small changes to efficiency, downsizing things that didn't need to be as big, reducing weight, adding things where they need to. It's so much better in so many ways. But on to other things that are fully stacked, huh? Tower 2 at Starbase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go.
It's getting out of hand. Now it's got 2 of them.
It really is. I mean, speaking of a game changer, it just completely changes the vibe of the launch site. It's just.
Oh man, it's insane to look at. It's like, oh yeah, now there's 2 towers. Yeah, there's just 2 towers now.
I have a question about the towers, and I was talking to Mary about this a couple days ago. Refresh my memory. When they stacked Tower 1, did it look as new and shiny as Tower 2, and then it like patinaed over time in the sea air and the salt air? Or did they paint Tower 2 with some kind of different like anti-corrosion paint or something in that? Because it's like, is it going to patina the same way, or is it a different type of paint and it will just look different? I don't know.
It definitely looked cleaner. I'd have to go back and look at all the things, but as with everything, when you put it in an incredibly humid and salt-laden environment, it doesn't really matter what paint you put on it or whatever you do corrosion control wise. It's always gonna it's always gonna corrode. It's always gonna get rust on it. The environment they're in, as you know, because you live in it, is one of the one of the most hostile environments towards equipment and whatnot. So,
you guys think it's galvanized? Think they galvanized Tower 2?
They might have. Might have done something different.
Galvanic? Is that the galvanized coating like that would be shining a lot brighter because zinc when it goes on bright.
Is galvanization a electrical process like anodization, where you like put the thing in a bath of the thing and there's electrode and all that? Is that how galvanization works?
Yeah, you give it, you put it in a bath of zinc, and the zinc adheres to it. It's basically like painting something with metal, only you're painting it with zinc and electricity.
So cool.
Actually, for galvanization, it's not necessarily electricity; it's heat. But yeah.
So yeah, Mary was saying that she thought she got footage of them painting the segments after they arrived. So I don't know if it would have been
It's entirely possible.
A galvanic type process or what. I like want to go back in our archive and see.
You just want to say galvanic now. Don't
galvanic,
lie.
man.
But it does look shinier than when I saw them at the Cape, at least before they.
It does.
It does look shiny. Yeah.
And it's partly because the tower orientation is different versus the sunset. So there's like flat sides to the columns directly facing the sunset, so they get very, solidly illuminated. So that's part of it. But even when illumination, you take that out of the equation, it's just a very different looking tower, at least for now. Anyways,
I can't wait.
Continue.
I can't wait for the views of full stacks on this, because from this shot here, you'll basically be looking right on the side of the vehicle, so you'll be looking flaps on. And from this view, or a little bit actually you'll be looking more towards the heat shield on this side, because this is river, if I remember correctly. And yeah, you'll
from south it'll be looking directly at the heat shield. It's like rotated like 90 degrees versus pad A, which
about 90 degrees, yeah.
So cool. I cannot wait. I know I've said this a million times, so forgive me, but I cannot wait till we get 2 full stacks out at the pad. It's going to be flipping insane.
Chris.
It's just
STS 135, STS 400, anybody?
Yeah,
yes, please.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly don't think, with the current OLM that they have, I think we'll only get maybe one, maybe 2 stacks on the thing after that second pad is operational. It really depends on the overlap of Block 2 to Block 1 boosters, because a Block 2 booster will absolutely, definitely not be compatible with that new pad. I don't see any way it is. There are so many changes they have to implement between the booster and the pad that's just not going to work. That entire pad will have to get knocked down and replaced. So I hope we get a Block 1 booster and a Block 2 booster flight ready at the same time, and they put 2 full stacks before they knock it down and take that pad offline for like a year.
Just looking at SpaceX's history with Starbase, I expect 2 full stacks on both pads.
Just for photo op, if anything.
Yeah, no, it's a flex. It's a fantastic PR move. They did that with 9 and 10. They've done it with other vehicles that I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it was like 26 and 24 or 25, something like that.
Stack 2 starships at the same time, man.
Yeah.
Always wanted to do that.
They had, I remember they had 28 and 10 stacked together on the pad at the same time, and then 29 came out for, I think it's Static Fire campaign, and all of a sudden it rolled over to the OLM for some reason. And we never got to see those pictures, if they took any. We never realized why, but it was like, yeah, we have 2 ships with engines and a booster on the pad, and it's like, okay. And then it rolled over and was placed on suborbital pad B, which is long gone at this point.
Right.
But
now it's orbital pad B. Yay!
Yeah, now it's orbital pad B. Pad B still exists, it's just in a different form.
I mean, SpaceX is a PR savvy company. They drove a Raptor vac down Highway 4 with a Cybertruck and parked it at the pad with a, they know what they're doing.
And ran a drone into it.
Yeah. R.I.P.
I mean, they are a commercial company, dude. It's pretty obvious that they use aesthetic to kind of sell the idea of space. They're a commercial company. It's kind of the point,
Right.
Now, like, they
I'm here for it, man. It's great.
Yeah, no, they stacked this thing pretty quickly. They did this in, 41 days? They did the first one was a little bit weird because they built section or module 1. They built it on the concrete base piece by piece, and then they stacked section 2 to 9. That did it in, 65 days or so? And then the funny thing is the one in 39A took longer. That one took 87 days to stack all nine modules. So part of that was they ran into issues with the LR11350. It got delayed a little bit more trying to stack some of the top sections because they were too heavy. Because that crane couldn't take it, and well, that's why they now have the CC8800.
I miss the Rasta crane though.
Yeah. But
Dude, it's
yeah,
the Skittles crane.
they went with
Makes the
a bigger
segments.
crane this time.
What'd you say, EJ?
It's a Skittles crane.
Skittles crane good. I feel like Rasta crane better, but to each their own.
Hmm.
There was no blue in the. It would have to have blue to be the Skittles crane.
Yeah, well, blue
no
Skittles
blue
suck,
Skittle.
so there.
Is there?
I don't know.
I don't think there is a blue Skittle.
Up.
Googling. I'm googling it. Is there?
Oh,
And
This is-
while Jack is googling that, if you want to
Priority,
pull up the ship 30 picture, what is it? Right there. They added something to 30. I don't know why it's on 30 and not the booster. At least I hope it's on the booster.
Yeah, that the Mechazilla decal that they've added.
Like,
Yeah.
Like
Well-
I get it, it's cool looking, but you put it on the ship that's not getting caught on this flight. Like
I know.
Yeah.
What I hope
There it is.
with all this supposed extra time that they have, which I'll actually talk about Pad A here in a minute, but like with all this extra time that they have, I really hope we see B12 on Booster 12, and I'll take that logo on Booster 12 as well, and maybe even a SpaceX logo. Please. It's the
Yeah, that'd
first
be
one
sick.
you're trying to catch. Label it.
Yeah, that would be
Please.
sick. Yeah, I'm all for putting cool stickers on the vehicles. It makes them go faster. Probably increases ISP of the Raptors.
Yep, exactly. That's what it does.
It's like, put some speed holes in there. It'll go even faster.
Mhm.
But like, it's the ship. We all know at this point that they're going to be going for a catch, especially with the addition of this sticker of the booster on this flight. And they put it on the dang ship.
I know.
At least this time they didn't ruin the. Wait, did they ruin the decal placement again for the S30? Is it upside
No,
down
that's
again?
The S30 is in this orientation on this side. On the other side, the S is on top.
So it's correct.
Yes.
So as it's belly flopping, it would look correct from either side.
Yes.
Good. Gotta take
They
your
didn't mess
wins
it
where
up.
you can get them. Gotta take your wins where you can.
Right? I mean, they didn't. The funny thing was on Ship 29, you can see from SpaceX's cameras when it is stacked that they clean the areas to put the decals on, but they didn't put the decals on.
Right.
So
Right, go
I
figure.
don't know. I mean, whatever. It is what it is. I don't know why they put it on there. But they put it on there. It's
Because
Yeah.
SpaceX.
yeah, that's true. And speaking of, I guess Megazilla, you can go to Pad A. I mean, there aren't as many lifts up there now as there were earlier, but man,
There's still a fair few.
like they've started to rearrange or at least redo some of the mount points on the compression actuators for the landing rail, as well as they're starting to put the brackets on and other things on to install more of those bumpers. And they were working on the lifting points for Booster 14.1. I hate to break it to everyone. I mean, we love more slap testing, but I don't think Booster 12 is coming out anytime soon. I think 14.1 is coming back out to the pad. I don't think they were entirely satisfied with how everything worked last time around. So we might get more slap testing.
That'll
Yeah,
be the
but
third round of slap testing for it already.
the sad part of that is Flight 5 is just getting pushed and pushed.
Yep.
I
Did you
mean,
really expect anything else? As soon
no,
as
not
as soon
really.
as there was any inkling from Elon that they might actually go for a catch on Flight 5, I was immediately like, add number of months.
I,
What? What did I miss?
No, no, it's not. It's Twitch chat. Hey, can we go back and look at that Mechazilla decal?
uh-oh.
I'm scared now.
I'm scared now.
I don't trust DJ's chat.
I'm excited.
You could say it looks like it's break dancing.
That's amazing. Supposedly that
Well
person's
done.
actually really good at breakdancing, but they did that as like a, like a troll on the Olympics.
And it's like a cyber, like, Mecha Godzilla thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's all blocky and it doesn't even look that great, to be honest.
I think it looks cool. It's just stupid because it's on the ship. If they were catching the ship, I'd be all about it. But going back to the additional slap testing, hear me out.
Mhm.
Let's put a Raptor on 14.1.
Okay.
Let's drop it from a sky crane like
Okay.
1,000 feet up, and do a catch test. Let's do some drop testing of 14.1 with a sky crane and a Raptor. Let's just go the whole 9 yards if we're gonna.
There's a couple problems with that, but you know.
Obviously, it's not practical. They're not going to do it. It doesn't make any sense. Just let me have this.
If they're going to do it, they got to do it on the back of a 747 and drop it.
That would also be legit.
But yeah, I'm
I'm
thinking. I'm thinking we're getting more catch testing, slap testing before we get a wet dress. I mean, depending on what the regulatory side is, which we've heard zero. We haven't even heard whether or not SpaceX has even requested a license change, let alone if they're, doing one. We know they're going to need one because it doesn't allow for a return to launch site landing in the current license. So we know they need one. But as far as we have heard, at least that I know of, we don't know if they've even requested it. So there's that, and then the pads doesn't seem anywhere near ready to do support their catch, and they're just kind of taking care of a lot of other issues. So say this even gets delayed till beginning of October. There's a solid chance, depending on how the pad fares, we get one more Starship flight this year. Because they've been taking like a solid 2.5 months to refurb this pad. Yeah, that's.
Do you think
I
they're
don't think we'd be getting that point, but we could be.
They're obviously refurbishing it to strengthen it for catching, though, right? Like, or do you think it's refurb?
A lot of all the work that we're seeing on the chopsticks right now, it seems like chopstick prep for sure.
Yeah,
But the
they're
Olin
opening up the
itself?
welds and stuff.
The Olin itself, the basic refurb work that they usually have to do, which every single flight they have to go through and replace every single hose that goes to the Raptor Boost QDs. Every single hose has to get replaced. They have to swap out and clean all the clamps. They have to replace a ton of they're still replacing burn plates, actually. So they are still doing stuff regarding the launch itself. But yeah, they never got a shielding solution for all the hoses and everything, because whatever shielding they might have starts binding, and then they start running into problems. So I think the days of the 20 R-Boost QDs is going to go bye-bye on that new pad. That's not going to happen anymore.
Yeah, and in this vein, we do have a question from Other Side asking, you guys up for a mobile OLM? So I've seen some people talking about this on Twitter. I saw CSI Starbase talking about it. It's a common refrain these days, and it makes a lot of sense. EJ, you're cheering, so I'm just gonna let you take it. Why does a mobile launch mount for Starship make sense? I mean, I know why it makes sense, but for our viewers who might not know why it makes sense.
Okay, all right. Let's be real. This is a little bit of hopium on my part. I want Starship mobile launcher platform, kind of like similar to the shuttle with a fixed tower, because I want to see a Starship roll out of the VAB to 39A on a crawler transporter. Okay, call me old-fashioned. All right, that's fair. Now, with that all being said, okay, I personally think they're going to do that. All right, I'm probably wrong. I can hope. Don't judge me. All right. So why would you? Okay, simple reason. You catch a booster, you miss. What is it going to hit? Probably want to be able to swap that out real quick, right? Yeah.
Right.
Swapping it out and be able to hot swap your pad and switch Starship to a somewhat clean pad design could be useful. It could be fortuitous in the future. That's your word of the day right there. In the future, if a catch attempt goes wrong, you might, swap it out real quick.
Here's a problem.
Possible.
There's a large problem with that. A massive problem, in fact.
It's heavy. I know.
No.
Mm.
You want to swap out the OLM for a bad catch attempt. Well, in a bad catch attempt, you're most likely going to damage or destroy your chopsticks. Those can't really just be swapped out.
I don't.
per
I mean,
se.
even more than after a bad catch attempt, it just makes sense. Like, what is the lower limit on how fast SpaceX will be able to refurbish even a second generation, third generation, fourth generation orbital launch mount versus you have a couple of them, you operate them in rotation, and you launch one, you put that aside, you refurb it, you have another one ready to go, you launch. I mean, the launch cadence that SpaceX wants to hit with Starship, the GSC might end up being a limiting factor, and a mobile OLM type setup might end up being the solution.
But
If
for right
Elon's
now,
to be believed, in a recent tweet, it's still a 1 hour turnaround, which means you catch the booster, you put it right back on the pad, which means you can't swap pads.
I mean, I'm
Right.
just picturing like a big CD slot, and the OLM slides out of the CD slot, get put over to the side, and then you slide another one into the slot.
oh,
It's
like
easy,
the 6
right?
disc changers.
Yeah.
Well,
But here's the thing.
So-
Here's my thought on it, though. I mean,
Go.
I'm gonna go with the dissenting opinion on this one. Ding ding. I feel like moving it back and forth is more of an issue because, obviously it's not that big of a deal to roll it out. We've seen it with shuttle rolling heavy things, but at that point you've got it mounted down to the ground. You've got all of the lines and everything hooked up to it. You don't have to worry about any of that. All of your ground support equipment is still there. None of it has to be moved back and forth. That way, the only thing that changes with each mission is the ship. So, I mean, yeah, if the whole tower goes down because of something, then that stops all the launches. But for right now, you've got the 2 towers, which will help with the early testing time. And as they improve and things, then I feel like GSE is always the issue. So when you add in movable GSE, you're just asking for more problems.
Yeah, that's completely fair. This could totally end up being one of those things where it's like, it makes sense in principle because we're not working on the program and we don't know everything they know. But to think about the challenges that SpaceX has with the booster QD and the ship QD on Pad A, now imagine the pad itself having a QD for every part of the pad that connects to the tank farm. That's very much not trivial.
Speaking of the ship QD on Pad A, they recently installed a stop. So when the ship QD goes back, it'll hit and sit on a stop. And then the shockwaves from the exhaust, which has been the issue causing the problems, because it's been able to get away from the actual like heat, but it's the shockwaves themselves that have damaged some of the stabilization like arms, because the ship's gotten higher up because they moved the QD up a ring and then it went up another ring because the hot stage ring. So now it'll go back onto a stop and it'll sit on that stop and it shouldn't get damaged as much anymore. So there's a small solve for that. The whole thing is regarding just the QDs, GSE, and everything in general. We also have to remember SpaceX is trying to solve this for the largest, most powerful rocket ever made in human history. Like, this isn't like Saturn V was Saturn V. I mean, this thing is supposed to become 2.5 times more powerful. And you're trying to build a pad in which you can turn it around in, I would say optimistically, at least a day. I would say at least. The hour turnaround, yeah, okay. In your dreams. I'm sorry, in your dreams. That ain't happening. At least, maybe not for 50 years. Like, I really don't ever see that happening.
I mean, 50 years is a long time.
That is a long time.
I take your point. I take your point. An hour turnaround seems patently insane, but then again, so did landing a booster on a barge in the middle of the ocean after sending the second orbit. So,
Can I throw a wrench into this conversation?
Uh-oh.
Go.
Where's the OLM? Where's the second OLM?
That is a question.
Why did SpaceX take the OLM down from 39A? Obviously, there's something wrong with the design of the OLM, and we have not seen parts anywhere, and we have people looking everywhere.
So
yeah, they even built an entire second OLM at Cape Canaveral, and then I guess it's getting scrapped, like not going to be used. So something is clearly going on there. Good point, Kevin.
Could maybe possibly see something soon. So they cut out 4 squares at Sanchez. This is RGV that caught this. They cut out 4 squares at Sanchez. The footprint is larger than the tower. The footprint is larger than the static fire stand. And then they brought the CFA drilling rig that's been drilling piles like a madman over at the launch site over to Sanchez and started drilling pilings at Sanchez.
So clearly they need a solid foundation for something very heavy at Sanchez.
Maybe that's where they want to build the OLM.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. That was a cool observation from RGV. Yeah, that would make a lot of sense, and that answers whose question? Join the noob in chat asking, have they already started the launch table? If they have, we haven't seen it yet, but this might be the start of the start. So
there's the other thing they haven't started yet. The ship cutie. They're not going to use. The one that Roberts wrote is outdated, way outdated. They're as you can tell, they don't have one on the LC-39A tower either. In fact, you go to the Polaris Dawn flyover photos, they have completely destroyed what was there for the pad. Like the legs are gone, that manifold's gone. It's now just flattened out, and they haven't touched it. I'm really thinking SpaceX is going to build what they have at Pad B at Starbase, and really see if it works, and then whatever changes they need to make to that, they'll make to 39A.
It really does feel like, in a lot of ways, they rushed 39A.
They jumped the gun so much.
Also, prop to Snap for snapping these such amazing photos from John
Wonder
Cross.
how he got the nickname.
Right?
But
what a good call sign. A lot of times call signs, it's like something embarrassing you did, or like a silly play on words. Like he lucked out. He got a cool guy call sign.
Most of Polaris Dawn got okay ones.
But yeah, Ryan, I see what you're saying. It does sort of feel like they jumped the gun on 39A, and it's one of those things where I can't wait until it's 5, 10, however many years from now, and the tell-all books come out from people who worked on it, or various journalists like the Burgernator. I almost called him the Burgernator, but that's too close to the Burgernator. Anyways, there's so many. There you go. There's so many things, like decision points that very clearly was like a significant inflection point in the program that we just don't have insight into. Like, why did they think that they needed to build this tower at 39A so early? Were they that confident? And then what caused them to completely put it on hold? And now it's not even going to be the second tower, it's going to be the third tower. Was it NASA being like, whoa, like what? There's so many questions that I would just love and can't wait until we get the answers to.
The funny thing is they built that tower before they had flown IFT-1, Flight 1.
Yep.
Like, you didn't even know how your pad was going to fare even after a single launch, and how the tower was going to work, yet you built it anyway.
Right.
Like, it is kind of funny that they installed that manifold for a water deluge, realizing after the static fires from Booster 7, they went, uh-oh.
Yeah.
We need a water deluge. Just this whole thing of no flame deflector, no water deluge ain't gonna work.
Ain't gonna work.
And it did work.
Well,
it definitely did work.
It did work once.
Once. Like I don't know. EJ looks like he has thoughts. I don't know.
That's dangerous.
I'm just thinking. Just listen to what you guys say. I mean, just they built that tower at 39A, et cetera, et cetera. It speaks to SpaceX's iteration. They're not afraid to build something, not having full confidence whether it's going to work or not. I mean, we've seen them scrap full starships.
Yeah.
Even scrap starships that they flew. They don't care.
Yeah.
Like, it's building out something like that's a drop in the, that tower's just a drop in the bucket. And I think they're confident enough that the tower can be reused, which is why they didn't scrap it like the rest of the pad, but like Ryan, I think it's really easy. Like, and I'm not trying to be a jerk. Like, I think it's really easy to say like, oh, you probably shouldn't have built that. You're probably right. But, I think this is what I was thinking about. And I think it's important to consider that, dude, no one's done this. Well, how do we know what a catch tower looks like? No one's ever done this. We're in uncharted territory, right? You know, we say like missions like Polaris Dawn or the Gemini missions. This is our generation's Gemini. What the heck is this?
Yeah.
What is this? Our generation?
I mean,
what?
Yeah, like not even Apollo.
You know?
it's like Super Apollo. Yeah.
Well,
Right?
yeah, I guess
We're in uncharted territory here, right? Like,
yeah.
you know,
But the thing is just like from a outsider standpoint, which to your point, you know, I don't know what a catch tower is supposed to look like. It's never been built before.
Ryan.
But from an outsider standpoint, taking into account SpaceX's iterative development process, it makes way more sense, at least now with hindsight, that the pad you build at 39A probably shouldn't be version 2. It should probably be something like version 3 or version 4, where you've already ironed out all of those kinks and answered those questions. But we have a really insightful comment, another one, a 2-in-1 stream. Who knew? From Ryan Caton in our back channel, saying, I do wonder if 39A's tower is more a power move to NASA and Space Florida and Space Force and other folks at the Cape. Like, there's this huge tower for the most powerful rocket ever. Maybe it's a little bit more tangible. That is, again, SpaceX is a very PR conscious company.
you know,
There's still a
Ryan's-
tower
Ryan
that's
also-
taller than it.
Yeah, the blue
Just
tower's
funny.
taller. Nobody
It's
cares.
just funny.
yeah, but fellas, hold on a second here. You
Uh-oh.
can't see Blue's Tower from the visitor center now, can you?
That is true.
Hey,
Ooh.
good point.
Yeah. See what I'm
But no,
talking about?
That tower was built at a time, like you said, Ryan, where they had not even flown IFT-1 yet, and you know, there was the Blue Origin infographic. You know, what was it?
Oh man.
Like super complex and dangerous, or whatever. I'm butchering the quote, but yeah, like building that pad does serve the purpose, if nothing else, of making Starship at the Cape that much more tangible for a program whose stated goals are incredibly ambitious. So that is not worth nothing. I don't know if it's worth immensely complex and high risk. Thank you, Thomas. But yeah, it's worth considering, at least that alone. But you know, I don't think that would be the motivation to do an entire pad and tower at 39A. But certainly, it's a corollary.
I cannot wait to count the number of days from when that tower got completed to when the first stack is on it. I can't wait to see how many days that ends up being. Because at this rate, if they really want to prove out Pad B at Starbase, which with finishing up the tower still, they have to finish welding everything, pump all the columns full of concrete, put the chopsticks together, all the rails together, build the OLM, hook it up to the tank farm, like probably another 12 months or so. And then you fly out of it and then say, okay, this works. Let's go build it at 39A real quick. That'll probably still take another 7, 8, 9, 10 months. I don't know how long it'll take them to build that thing, but it might take a while. Like,
Right.
It may not be until mid 2026 that we see a full stack on that pad.
But boy howdy, that's going to be another sort of inflection point. You know, when Starship is ready to begin ops at the Cape. Oh, exciting
I just
times.
want 3 stacks. I want 2 stacks at Boca and 1 stack at the Cape. all at
Oh,
once
no.
at one
I mean,
point.
that's definitely going to happen, but then it's like, which do
or
you
4
choose?
or 4.
Which do you shoot? Yeah.
Well, that's
Or
why we
like
have
work.
a Cape team as well as a Starbase team.
Like,
No, but I want to. It's like Pokemon, Sawyer. I want to catch them all. Like,
Catch
don't get
'em
me
all.
wrong.
That's
I
the
love,
job.
I love
No,
you.
that's the job of the towers and the chopsticks, not you.
I love the Cape
Hey.
team, but you know, I also like getting lens on stuff myself as well. So it'll be, oh man, exciting times ahead.
D slow-mo of a stack taking off from 39A.
Oh,
Oh, it's going to be amazing.
don't tease
There
me.
you
Well,
go.
that's part of the
Yep.
it's part of the reason why I want them to use a mobile launcher platform architecture so we can see a Starship launching from 39A proper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
once
but also-
Falcon's done with it, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, Slick 40 has the crew access arm, man. If SpaceX finds another pad for Falcon Heavy, yeah, I say that
Or
like that's an easy
37?
thing.
Or
Yeah,
Just-
yeah.
kick a certain rocket off the 9B and use that pad.
DJ's
Yeah.
gonna fight you. Look at the expression on his face. He's literally about to jump through the screen
You
and
should
fight
not
you.
have said that.
You should not have said that. I should not be driving this car.
Whatever.
I mean, so fellas, I had another interesting thought there while you were explaining that, right? We're talking about launches from 39A, and we're talking about the whole premise of this discussion here was like, do we think they're going to have a mobile launcher platform, something? I mean, I'm hoping to high heck that they do. I mean, I don't have any sources to say that they will or won't, but now, fellas, I'm gonna ask this question, and I'm just kind of curious what you guys think. Okay, so it's very clear that the OLM needs to be redesigned. Kevin, even Kevin popped in. Where's the other OLM? Where's the other OLM? Do you think that they would opt for a OLM design that you can swap out very easily because they need to upgrade it constantly? I'm just putting it out there.
That's sort of
right?
more what I'm thinking versus a mobile launching platform. I'm thinking just like a OLM, and you have another OLM next to it in like a shed at the pad.
You just swap it out. Yep.
Yeah, and you just sort of, one comes out, the other goes on, the other goes in the shed, and then boom, you're ready to go in an hour or what have you.
I mean,
you could even, no. I was going to say, you could even do it while the booster's in the air if you can do it fast enough. But no, that's insane.
The thing is for me is it's SpaceX. It's hard to put anything past them doing anything, to be honest.
This is the company that wanted to catch fairings on giant net boats. Like, never say never.
This is the company that within a month, 2 months, I don't know, at some point here is going to attempt to catch a 70-meter tall booster coming in at like 1,100 kilometers an hour before its landing burn. That's what they're attempting to do.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
I mean,
so don't underestimate the insane things that SpaceX might try to pull off. So if you want to know more, or just have another resource at your disposal, I'm spamming a link in chat. Ryan, you just wrote a Starbase article, and it's fantastic. So if you want a textual refresher of what's going on, you can hop on over to nasaspaceflight.com at that link I spammed in chat and read our most recent Starship article. Also watch Twist. Also watch all the things. Watch all the things. Read all the things. Watch all the things.
All the things. We like Twist.
It was a really good. I feel like it was a really good Twist this week. Like,
I mean, it's Polarity's gone.
Alicia is just on her game, and I guess Ryan also. I can only praise Ryan Caton so many times on the stream before
it gets weird.
I start to feel itchy, but
I mean, Alicia is always on top of her game. I mean, always. So,
Yep.
Wow, Ryan even said he had fun editing this one. Okay, that means everyone has to watch it.
Oh yeah, everyone has to watch it now.
Yep. Cool. Well, let me close out support here, and then let's do some questions, because we are getting near the end of the show, and we do have a bunch of Starship questions rolling in. Downcomer.
Nice.
It made you say it.
Somebody else do it. I don't want to do it.
No.
Downcomer,
You must.
thank you for gifting a Red Team membership. Downcomer is strictly vertical. Transfer tube. Downcomer strictly vertical. Transfer tube angles. There's angles and vertical components. That's the difference.
Cope and C, the L plus buyer.
So Starship is both then, because it's got the angled ones that come off the header tank. So.
Yeah, but the label says transfer tube. So in a submarine, high delta P is bad, right?
So messed up. That's so messed up.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man.
It's so screwed up. Oh,
Yeah.
Claire Louise, thank you for becoming a Padraft member. We're just racking up L's today. Joel Sapp becoming a launch director. Holy cow, Joel.